Sorry about that. We're gonna go ahead and get started. I was just trying to fix the view. We're gonna go ahead and kick this off. Tap the screen, share the live. Let's go ahead and get the likes up to 8,000 likes. Let's do all the wonderful things. And we'll go ahead and get this cranked up. We'll go ahead and get this started.
Yeah, this ain't your regular panel. Nah, we speak the truth. Late nights with Santana and Mama Jones watching. Better keep it clean. Let's go. Late nights, truth in the convo. Everybody get a seat at the table. From the block to the books, we mindful. No screaming, just dreams in the Bible. One mic, one voice, we build relics. Pay different cultures, but the real ones listen before they rebuttal. Late nights with Santana. Yeah, Mama Jones watching, so keep it grown. Ain't about flexing, this is purpose zone. Santana hold it steady when it might get hot, but we ain't here to fight, we here to connect the dots. Yeah. Late nights with Santana. You already know. Late nights with Santana. Late nights, no static. No highlight reel, just the soul's reflection. No shade throwing, just connection. From streetwise truths to deep reflections, we turn hard talks into blessings. They say they run a game, we build new rules. We here to heal, uplift, and break the old rules. They kept us boxed in, divided by fear, but you find us lined up when the truth appears. Yeah, weekly topics, hearts wide open. No judgment, just motion. Real ones are talking, no cussing. Cause Mama Jones still watching, no fronting. Yeah, late nights with Santana. You already know. Late nights with Santana. Late nights, no static. Yeah, Mama Jones watching, so keep it grown. Ain't about flexing, this is purpose zone. Santana hold it steady when it might get hot, but we ain't here to fight, we here to connect the dots. Mama Jones watching, so keep it grown. Ain't about flexing, this is purpose zone. Santana hold it steady when it might get hot, but we ain't here to fight, we here to connect the dots. Weekly topics, hearts wide open. No judgment, just motion. Real ones are talking, no cussing. Cause Mama Jones still watching, no fronting. Yeah, late nights with Santana. You already know. Late nights with Santana. Late nights with Santana. You already know. Late nights with Santana. Late nights. Late nights with Santana. You already know. Late nights with Santana. Late nights.
Hey, welcome in, guys. This is Late Nights with Santana. Late Nights with Santana. This is a panel discussion for the people in the chat. Hey, Hamilton, please stop spamming hi. Hello. Please stop spamming hi, though. Please stop. Henry, for you, you're saying debate me. This isn't a debate. This is a panel discussion. So let's make sure that we understand that this is Late Nights with Santana. This is a panel discussion. And this week, our topic is, it's a super interesting topic. It's left or right, your pick, right? This week, we're going to be taking a look at what seems to be a growing divide within our country. And I need to figure out who's perpetuating this growing divide. Is it the left? Is it the right? And how are they actually doing so, right? Because there's a couple of different things that I want to talk about. The first topic is that was racist, right? It's an opportunity to talk about what racism really is and the harm being perpetuated behind whether we say that racism doesn't exist or if we're just randomly calling everyone a racist. That's a huge thing. The next thing is it politics? Basically talking about how politics have weaponized us against each other, and more so specifically, how both the left and right has weaponized the black and brown vote while needing the black and brown vote, right? Next thing is who's at fault, right? We're going to take a look at both sides, and we're going to take a look at not only both sides, but why both sides continue to perpetuate this divide within our country. And last but not least, what's the point? We're going to take a look at what is the actual reason that this is happening and how do we actually address it. So if you are actually interested in joining this conversation, go ahead and request up Everyone is welcome. Everyone is welcome. This is a panel discussion. Go ahead and get in the box. So you don't have to be someone that is opposition. You can be someone that is actually just interested in bringing your point of view to the conversation. So if you're someone on the left and you want to join this conversation, if you're someone on the right and you want to join this conversation, go ahead and request up. We'll start getting people in here in just one moment. Last but not least, guys, everyone tap the screen, share the live. Let's go ahead and get the likes up. Let's get the likes up to 25,000 likes. Let's get the shares up as well. If you are interested in joining this conversation, I will start bringing people in. As I bring you in, guys, please, please, please mute yourself. Please, please, please mute yourself as I bring you in, and we'll go ahead and get this conversation started here in just a moment. Guys, again, please mute yourself. And as we get you in here, please mute yourself. Here.
I have something to show you right here. Look. Hey, look at it.
All right. Here we go. All right, let's go ahead and get started. We will do a quick introduction and then we'll get into the conversation. Let's see. N Jones, how are you?
Good. How are you?
Wonderful, wonderful. And I'm sorry, is it, what's the N for?
Natalie.
Okay, perfect. Natalie, are you someone that normally votes left, right? Where do you normally fall on the political spectrum?
Left.
Okay, perfect. And Natalie, opening question is, do you think that politics has caused a deeper divide within our country?
Absolutely.
Okay, perfect. Give me a second here. All right, let's see. Melissa, how are you? What up, Joey?
I'm good.
Wonderful.
Just coming off a 10-hour shift.
I understand that. Melissa, are you someone that normally votes left or right? Where do you normally fall on the political spectrum?
I normally vote left, but I am further left.
Okay. All right. Perfect. And do you think that politics has deepened the divide within our country?
Yes, but I think the bigger problem is greed.
Okay. Give me a second. Hold on. Let's see here. D, how are you?
Hello, I'm fine. How are you?
Wonderful. What's the D for?
Diamond. I actually donate to you a lot on Cash App.
I know. Yes. Diamond, how are you?
I'm fine. So happy to be up on a panel with you, Santana. I watch you all the time.
Wonderful. Diamond, can you tell the people, where do you normally fall on the political spectrum, left or right? Oh, you have to come back in order for us to be able to hear you.
Oh, sorry. I had a notification on my phone that popped up. Sorry. I am the radical left, as they say. You know, I am very, very blue. I've always voted blue. You know, yeah. So.
Okay. All right. Perfect. Give me a second here. Lou, how are you?
Hey, how's it going?
Wonderful. Lou, are you someone that normally votes on the left or the right?
On the left.
All right, perfect, Lou. And would you say that the actual that politics has deepened the divide within our country?
I'd say so, yeah.
All right, perfect. And let's see. Last but not least, Kristen, how are you?
I'm good.
Wonderful. Kristen, are you someone that normally votes on the left or the right?
The left.
All right. And do you think that politics has deepened the divide within our country?
I think how we're using politics, like it's becoming more of a weapon than it used to be, I think. So I think that's what's causing it, not just politics in general, because that's always kind of been the thing. But how we're using it is.
Okay. All right. Guys, if there is anyone that's on the right and you would like to join the conversation, go ahead and request up. And if you're in the box and you're on the right and you would like to join, drop a me in the chat and let me know that you're on the right, and I will get you up here and we'll get the conversation started. I want to make sure that I save these last two spots for people that are on the right, just because I want to make sure that we are able to have this conversation. And with everyone that is just on the left, it's, not necessarily a good place for the conversation. Adam, I'm not letting you up because I think you're the weird guy that just came up here and did the toilet thing. I don't understand why you would do that, but I'm not letting you up. You're a little too eager to get up here. So Adam, you're not getting up. You're not coming up. Echo chamber. Yeah. Benjamin, are you literally, dude, what are you talking about? Echo chamber. I've literally just said for someone on the right to actually join the conversation. I'm so confused. Benjamin, are you on the right?
I am not. I was just agreeing with you when you said that when you bring everybody up that has the same.
I thought you were saying, oh no. Okay. All right. I'm going to drop you down for now, but you can request back up and I promise you I'll get you in here. Okay.
Not a problem. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Jake, you said center. How did you vote? Is there, you can call yourself center, but if there's someone who voted on the right, then I would love to get you in here because again, I want to make sure that we are able to have this conversation. I don't want this to be a situation where there are only people that voted on the left. We absolutely, this is a conversation. This is not a debate. And so if there are people you voted for, yeah, that's fine. Who did you vote for in this past election? That's what I need to know. Tommy, are you in the request, Tommy? All right. If you voted for Trump recently, go ahead and request up. We'll go ahead and get, you voted for Harris. Oh, okay. All right. Jake, you said you voted for Harris?
3 days after moving into the house. Samantha, what do you want
Jake?
Hey, why am I
I did.
Okay. All right. I'm going to drop you back down for now. You can request back up. Like I said, I want to get someone who recently voted for Trump so we can have this conversation. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Perfect. Let's see here. Tommy, did you vote for Trump?
Yeah, I did vote for Trump.
Okay, perfect.
Is that like an issue? Is that an issue with you guys?
No. We wanted someone on the right. I want to get someone else on the right up because I want to be able to have this conversation. This is a panel discussion about the actual issues within our country. And well, I guess the question, not the issue. You already answered the first question. Tommy, second question I have, do you think that politics has deepened the divide within our country?
Yeah, for certain people.
Okay. All right. Perfect. Give me a second here. Okay. All right. And is there anyone else that voted on the right that would actually like to join the conversation? I have one more spot open. We need one more person at least, because I would like to have the ability to have a fully fleshed out conversation. And I do not want it to be, just one-sided and just Tommy up here speaking. Let's see 1 second here.
Or it's fine. I can do it myself.
Yeah, well, but again, this isn't a debate, so like I don't want it to get misconstrued as far as what this is. Tesla, are you did you vote on the right?
Yes, I did.
Okay. And do you think that politics has deepened the divide within our country?
Not really, no.
Okay. All right, everybody, give me 1 second, just like a half a second. I have to do a quick thing really quick, and then we're going to go ahead and get into the conversation, okay? All right. And I'm sorry, what, Tesla, what can I call you? What's your actual name, or a name that I can call you?
You can call me Jeff.
Jeff? All right, perfect, Jeff. Perfect. All right, if you don't mind, go on mute for me for just a few. Sorry about that, guys. I wanted to actually adjust the background so the bit better. All right, that should be better. How does that look for everyone? All right, we're going to go ahead and get into the conversation. Boom, there we go. All right, before we get started, just a couple of ground rules. For the people on the panel, guys, please be mindful and use TikTok friendly language while we're speaking. What does that mean? That means using words like pew pew, unalive, mustache man, C19. That also means that pew pew, unalive, mustache man, those type of words that not only protect your TikTok, but also the live. Also, I want to remind everyone that this is a safe and friendly community. What does that mean? That means we don't deal with any of the isms, racism, sexism, classism. We don't do any of the phobias, homophobia, transphobia, none of that. We don't play that on the panel or in the chat. Speaking of the chat, guys, please be mindful. Caps are for mods. And if you use caps, it will pull my attention away from the panel and to the chat. And we do not want to do that. We want to be able to have this conversation. So please do not use caps. If you're interested in joining the conversation, go ahead and request up. Like I said, this is a panel discussion. So if you are someone who would like to share your opinion, you may request up. You do not have to be a quote unquote op to actually join. I'm looking for people on the left and the right to engage in this conversation. And last but not least, keep tapping the screen, share the live. Let's go ahead and get the likes up to 50,000 likes. Let's get the shares up. And we do have a nightly donation goal of $250. So if you would like to support the live, you can do so. Cash App, PayPal, Venmo, all the pay links in the link tree in the bio. Santana Speaks for You. Santana Speaks for You is the best way to support the live. Everything is accepted and things appreciated. If you're over on the YouTube, you can send a super chat and I will read that out. All right, let's go ahead and get into it. So the opening premise that I want to really dig into is what seems to be a growing divide across the country. Now, I think that the political, the actual politics that we have engaged in has made us more tribalistic, right? I think that we have gotten to a point where people are starting to dig into their cubby holes, and while digging into their cubby holes, they're starting to retreat into what's comfortable, right? And I see a growing sense on the left and the right, right? I see a sense on the left where they just flat out think that everyone on the right is racist, and they're willing to call everyone on the right racist, right? And I think that that's a little bit dangerous, just my personal opinion, because I think that calling every single person on the right racist, one, cheapens what racism actually is. It cheapens the meaning of racism. And I think you just weaponizing that and throwing it around can be dangerous. Now, you also look on the right and you have a certain group of people that just think, you know what? There's no such thing as racism anymore. Racism is gone. There was a black president. There's nothing that a black person can do that a white person can't do. And you're wrong as well. But I think there's a role that's being played that everyone is missing. And I think the role is capitalism. But we're going to get into it. Now, I want to start with, Tesla, did you say your name was, you said Jeff, right? Yes, Jeff.
Yeah.
Okay, Jeff, you're the only one that had a differing opinion in as far as saying that you don't think that politics is deepening the divide within the country. Can you tell me a little bit more about that?
Yeah, I don't know. I think when we're all on here, we're all a passionate group, especially ones who come on TikTok late at night and, feel like we're doing good by spreading messages. But I don't know. I work with the public, and I don't see the same sort of discourse when I interact with people. And I know for a fact that I interact with people who I don't vote with, I don't align with, but I think I get along with people day to day. So I think, like, is there a divide, like, ideologically? Sure. But I don't see the same sort of heat that you may see on some of these panels in reality. I think people are actually, they get along, and people want to get along more than they want to have discourse. So, yeah.
So you think that we see that this more, and it's more of a microcosm because we are, and for lack of better words, chronically online. But if you get out and you touch grass, you don't necessarily see the same type of divide. Is that what you're thinking?
Generally, yes. I think you'll still see a divide in some public forums, but generally speaking, you may go out and see somebody with a MAGA hat on, and you may hate MAGA, but I don't think you're actually going to approach them and berate them. I think you actually would probably just treat them normal. And likewise, I think of somebody wearing a MAGA hat who looks at someone who's, I don't know, maybe got purple hair and a septum ring. They're probably not going to go out of their way and treat you like, like less than what you should. That's not the case all the time, but I generally believe that people tend to want to get along with each other in person, and online it gets a little bit crazy.
Okay, perfect. Give me a second here, Jeff. Thank you. All right, I want to hop up, and I want to go to is it Nichelle? Oh, I'm sorry, give me your name one more time.
Are you?
Yeah, I'm sorry. What was your name again?
You can refer. You could just say N Jones. It's fine.
I don't want to say N Jones because that sound. I'll call you N Jones. N Jones. What do you think? Because I know you said that you thought that there was a deepening divide within the country, and I think Jeff made a great point. Right? Is there a sense of things are more hyperbolic online, and we are more inundated with the algorithm, right? With the constant, Natalie, that's what it is, the constant back and forth, the constant in your face. Like, is that what's really happening? Or is the pressures that we're seeing online really just a reflection on what we're actually seeing within the country?
I think that this has been going on for over a decade now. When you going back all the way through, Obama running for presidency and the whole birthism type of propaganda that was kind of narrative that was pushed and things like that. I think people are getting tired. So as far as me walking out the door and going to the grocery store, people are tired. People have their things that they got to do. We went through C-19, for years of that and being isolated. I think people are tired of, we had so many things of people fighting as far as masks or fighting, we've been shouting at the rooftops when in regards to BLM, and we've been shouting at the rooftops in regards to, no kings and immigration and all that. I think on a day-to-day basis, people don't want to say anything because they're tired. Not to say that they necessarily don't agree with this person and the other or these other people. They're like, I don't have time for this right now. I'm exhausted by the discourse. And I don't think that there's a lack of discourse or a lack of disagreement on these topics. I just think on a day-to-day basis, people are just trying to live their life.
Okay. Perfect. Give me a second here. Tommy, I want to come to you because, I do think that both Jeff and Natalie both have a point of view that I can get behind, right? Both of them actually said something, but the thing that Natalie said that really kind of caught my attention, the pandemic, right? We all lived through it. And I think that the time that we spent with the country locked down and the dissenting point of view as far as like mask, no mask, vaccine, no vaccine, like that whole thing is something that caused a huge divide within our country, and it became political. Do you think the actual pandemic kind of accelerated the state of where we are, or what role do you think that had to play?
Yeah, well, obviously, I mainly just think it's because the Democrats they just came up and made up the virus and leaked it out of the lab to make Trump look bad. So the Democrats basically.
Well, hey, Tommy, we can't talk about conspiracy theories because it'll get you taken down.
Oh, that's not a conspiracy theory, bud.
It is, but Tommy, specifically, do you think that the actual events, whether there are disputed or not, the actual events that occurred, do you think that perpetuated the divide within our country?
Only because the Democrats made it divide people. Republicans and Trump were the ones trying to bring people together.
Okay, all right. So your premise is the Republican Party and Donald Trump are the people that are trying to bring people together. Okay. I guess the follow-up question I would have for that is, what are your thoughts on the language that not only Donald Trump but his surrogates use to seems to be divisive, right? Whether we talk about Donald Trump saying that he hates his enemies, or I'm sorry, not his enemies, he hates his opponents.
We can talk about too. Would you not hate people? Some radical.
Hold on 1 second, Tommy. Let me finish the question before you start, okay? Whether it's Donald Trump saying that he hates his opponents, or whether it's people like Stephen Miller saying that liberals are terrorists and they're attacking the country. Tommy, let me finish the question. I promise you I'm going to give you the floor so you can speak, okay? All right. The point being, even if there is a position of negativity for the other side, shouldn't there be a sense of we're all Americans and people are looking to heal the country and bring the country closer together versus using divisive language? What do you think about divisive language being used versus looking to unite the country? You're on mute now, Tommy. Now you can speak.
Yeah, I think it's just a whole bunch of liberal bullshit that they've been perpetuating.
Language, this is late nights. My mom is watching.
Oh, sorry.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I think it's just they've been saying this. The Democrats are the ones that have been working with Satan on the devil. Okay.
All right. Give me a second here, Tommy. Thank you. Louis, coming to you. So I would like to hear your thoughts on that position, right? Because again, the president of the United States, who is supposed to be a leader for all of us, it's supposed to be someone who guides all of us. And with that guidance, it seems to be a lack of language that would help bring the country together. Do you put that at the feet of the Republican Party, similar to what Tommy is doing as far as putting it at the feet of the all right, yeah, Tommy, I gotta drop you. You literally got a flag for misinformation. That's why I said you can't say that stuff. All right. Do you put the actual fault at the feet of the Republican Party, or do you think that it's a both sides type of issue where there's divisive language coming from both parties?
Well, I mean, I'd say it speaks volumes when there's 7 million people that come together and protest. And then the response from the leader of the nation is to create an AI video where he's literally taking a dance on his people. I can't think of anything more divisive than the leader of our nation essentially laughing at his people. I think that if we could have responded the way we did during C-19, and not have been as friendly, you know. But we decided to be peaceful about it, and we get laughed at, you know. But when we were aggressive, as we were rightfully so during C-19, we were actually taken seriously, you know. And then shortly after, Biden won.
Okay. All right. Give me a second here. Guys, if there is anyone in the request that is a someone that voted on the right and you would like to join Jeff on the panel as a voice for the right, and you're not someone that's gonna, you know, get a violation for conspiracy theories, one, request up, but also two, just drop a me in the chat and I'll pull you up, because again, I want more balance. I want to be able to have the actual conversation and not just be of course we don't want an echo chamber, but we also don't want Jeff to be the only person that is representing the right. I want to make sure that we have the ability to have a fully fleshed out conversation. So if you are in the request and you are someone that voted on the right and you would like to join the conversation, go ahead and let me know that you're there. In the meantime, guys, keep tapping the screen. Let's go ahead and get the likes up to 75,000 likes. Let's also keep knocking out the daily gift goal. Right now, it's the little chili peppers. If we can knock this out a couple of times, it'll help push us out to the FYP. Send your daily heart. Me, it's only one coin. It's only one coin, and it'll help boost the live as well. And last but not least, we do have a nightly donation goal of $250. If you would like to support the live, you can do so. Cash App, PayPal, Venmo, all the pay links and link tree in the bio. Santana Speaks for You. Santana Speaks for You is the best way to support the live. Everything is accepted, anything's appreciated. If you're over on the YouTube, you can send a super chat and I will read that out. Let's see here. All right, I think this person's still on right. All right. I want to come up to Diamond. Coming to you. Yeah. So again, it seems like the actual divisive language, as far as what Lou just said, is coming from the White House. But I saw an interview today, right, where Nancy Pelosi, who said that she's no longer seeking re-election, she specifically said that Donald Trump was vile. And she said that he is the most disgusting thing on earth, right? This is someone who has been a staple of the Democratic Party, someone who has actually been a leader, the leader of the House, and all of these other things. And she's using similar language to what Donald Trump is using. So my question is, what's the difference between Nancy Pelosi using that type of language and Donald Trump using that type of language? Because even though Lou just made a great point as far as like, yeah, Donald Trump is using divisive language, couldn't people on the right say that Nancy Pelosi, a leader in the Democratic Party, is doing the same?
Well, when it comes to Nancy Pelosi saying something like that towards Donald Trump, I don't really think that is divisive. I think she's just essentially calling out his behavior for what it is presenting itself to be and what he's essentially acting like. Now, when it comes to Trump and what he says and what he does, a lot of that is divisive. He's been divisive since he was running for his first term. He ran on a lot of like fear and, in my opinion, racism and all of that. So when it comes to divisive, I mean, both parties have a tendency to use that type of language, but more so when it comes to like Trump and his cabinet and all of that stuff, you know, they tend to more so talk down on just like us as everyday people. And you know, like Lou said, I have never in my life seen a president upload an AI video of, you know, dropping that type of material on their people. You know, it is very clear that he represents who he wants to represent, and he tells you that these are the people that I'm representing, and if you are against me, then you are this, you are that, you know, and that's not essentially, you know, Obama never did that. You know, any other president that I can, you know, remember in my lifetime, when I gained consciousness to even pay attention to any of the political stuff or anything like that, I don't remember doing that. I remember, even if it was Republican versus Democrat, you know, the president was representing everybody, was for everybody. And I have just not seen that from Trump at any point of his presidency, this term or the first one or when he was running. So.
Okay. Okay. All right. All right. Perfect. Give me a second here. Kristen, I want to come to you. I would love to get your thoughts and your opinion on this, because while I do agree, right, I don't think that Donald Trump has been a leader for all. I don't. And while I do think that Donald Trump has instigated the divisive nature in the political system, I don't think that he is the root cause. I think he's just a symptom. I think that the way that politicians have always played politics and look to divide the country is what's happening now. It's just, I think that Donald Trump has amplified it. Am I off base, or is it just that Donald Trump turned up the volume and so now everyone is louder? Kristen, I'm gonna send you a request to come off mute. Kristen, are you there? Kristen going once. Kristen going twice. All right, I'm gonna drop you down. And Melissa, I'm gonna come to you and I'm gonna give you that question. Do you think that Donald Trump is a symptom and he cranked up the volume, or is this something new?
No. That's kind of what I was saying before. It's like the Wizard of Oz effect.
Mm-hmm.
All the big grand stuff over here and pay no attention to the man behind the curtain.
Mm-hmm.
So you've got everybody fighting and everybody turning people into enemies while you're behind the curtain doing things like building a ridiculous ballroom and tax cuts for the rich and the big beautiful bill and all those kinds of things.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree with that as well, because I think that there is more to it. And when I say there is more to it, I mean there's more to it in the sense that both sides have used politics to actually perpetuate harm in multiple ways.
Yes, I agree.
Yeah. And so that's where I actually want to go with this next, right? I want to go to, that was racist, right? And
yes.
I want to go to Jeff. I'm going to put you on mute here for a moment. Melissa, Jeff, I want to come to you. There has been a constant conversation back and forth as far as racism, right? And not only a constant conversation back and forth as far as racism, but a constant conversation back and forth. And Jeff, you might have heard it. The people on the left are constantly calling the people on the right racist. One, Jeff, do you think that racism still exists? And if so, who do you think is perpetuating racism more, the left or the right?
Do I think racism still exists? Yeah, it will never not exist in a society of multiculturalism. I think when we hear the word racist, we assume, I don't know if we can say, but why the Caucasian group, right? YT versus
white people?
Yeah, I don't know.
We're like white people over here.
We typically,
I say a lot of stuff that I'm not supposed to.
Well,
just no cursing.
people hear racism and immediately think white, white versus black or white versus, people of color. But there's racism within all communities. The second part of your question was what was the second question?
Who do you think is perpetuating said racism? Is it the left or is it the right?
Perpetuating it. Well, I mean, the left talks about it a lot. I don't think it holds weight anymore, which I know you mentioned that earlier. I'll be honest with you, I've been called racist and all these sorts of things. I particularly don't care, because at the end of the day, I know I'm not. And I think it's like when you wear a old pair of shoes and your feet get tired. My feet are tired of the word racist, so it doesn't hold the weight. And we're starting to get that with other words. But yeah, no, I think it's perpetuated. The word is perpetuated a lot from the left. But you know what? There are racist MAGA people. I know that for a fact. I come on these lives. They come up here and say some crazy stuff. But you're not fixing that. And I think the question is like, how do you coexist with that if you can? I think it's a small number. And I think I'm not a person of color. I know that. So, and I can't see from that viewpoint. But no, racism is real. I think though a lot of it is over. The drum is banged very hard on the left about it, and I'm not sure it sticks.
Okay. All right. Give me a second here, Jeff. Yeah. All right. So I wanna go up to Natalie. Natalie, I want to come to you. Or actually, sorry, before I come to you, Natalie. Jake, how are you? Jake, I'm gonna send you a request to come off of mute. Go.
Can you hear me?
Yes. Jake, how are you?
I'm good, thank you.
All right. And Jake, I saw you originally said that you're someone who has in the past voted both left and right. You kind of consider yourself to be
very much centrist. Very much centrist.
Can you tell the people, who did you vote for in the past election? And as of today, who would you say that you align yourself with more the left or the right?
So left-leaning center, as I live in New York City, my vote generally doesn't count because of the Electoral College. So I didn't vote in the last election, but I would have voted for Harris. When you live in deep blue states or deep red states, your vote doesn't matter in national elections, as every network proclaims the winner before you even vote. So I definitely would have voted for Harris, but I'm definitely a left-leaning centrist.
Okay. As of today, who would you say that you align with?
Well, so can I address, without being disrespectful to anybody, can I address Jeff's last commentary on racism?
Well, 1 second, we'll get into that, but I want you to answer that question for me. So today,
I mean, today,
based off of the
boots on the ground
leanings.
today, I lean left, right? So like if you're talking about like as far as what's going on with like SNAP benefits and the government shutdown, like the left's got the right of way. Like people are going to need health care, so they're holding out to get those subsidies back. So stuff that the left is doing is right. I do think the left can go too far when it comes to far left rhetoric. And I say the word rhetoric, I hate the word, but I think they can go too far. But right now, the country needs balance and needs to get back to being a country. So, yeah.
Okay. Perfect. All right. So you said you wanted to address something that Jeff said with racism. I'll let you kind of touch on that, but then I want to specifically ask a question. So floor is yours.
So Jeff, with due respect, you.
Oh,
no.
We're not asking him a question directly. I thought you wanted to say something.
No, I do. With due respect to what Jeff had mentioned. So the left does mention racism more. That's true. But it's the people who are without power who talk about power more. So that racism that the left talks about is because folks on the left, whether they're black, brown, non-Caucasian, they feel it more. There are more folks on the right who are not feeling that racism. So I would agree that the left talks about racism more, but that's because they feel it from the right. So that would be my only response to what Jeff was saying, that like the left talks about racism more. I respect the viewpoint, but and for to know about me, I'm biracial. My heritage biracial. I have a black father, a white mother, so I've been part of the racism commentary my whole life. And I will tell you that black people and brown people will talk about racism more, but that's because they feel it more from what would be, MAGA Americans, white Christian, et cetera, et cetera. So that's just my view on it.
Okay. All right. Perfect. I do think there's a lot to be said about that, because the premise that a lot of people portray when they say, oh, well, you guys are talking about it and that's the only reason it's still alive, that's absolutely false. Right. I mean, racism exists in multiple metrics when you look at across the board in the globe. And so the idea that it's being perpetuated just by talking about it is absolutely false. But let's do this. Give me 1 second here. Jake, Natalie, I want to come to you now. Natalie, the conversation of race has become something that is pushed on both sides, right? The left says the right is racist because they are doing racist stuff, right? they are specifically instituting policies to dismantle racial equality. The right says the left is racist because all they want to do is talk about racism. We're all American. We're all one. We're not, different races. I guess, Natalie, the question I have for you is, who's perpetuating the harm and why?
Generally speaking, I don't believe that everybody, I want to preference this. I don't believe that everybody that's Republican is racist, but do I believe that every racist currently is Republican? Yes. It's a party that's being supported by the Triple K. And one of the biggest things that I'm finding is that the system in general perpetuates racism. And what I mean by that is that when you're looking at the laws in this country, whether it be local, state, or federal, there's never been any particular law that's been written specifically to give white men their civil liberties.
Mm-hmm.
There has had to be laws written to give me my civil liberties, or somebody who looks like you, your civil liberties. But there's never been, so the system itself having to enforce or having to amend the laws in this country that dictate our everyday life. The fact that we even have to amend laws in order to give people of color their civil liberties shows you that how deep it runs into the system itself. So when somebody wants to point out, do I agree with Jake about, like, do we feel it more on the left because the left is predominantly known to have more minorities in there? Sure. But it's also one of those things where, like you said, just talking about it, I don't think perpetuates it. I think it brings it up to light, because you cannot fix a problem unless you address the problem. And ignoring it or saying that the left is somehow racist because they bring up racism constantly is basically us trying to get everybody to sit down at the table to address the issue. But if you hear those things of it doesn't exist, racism does exist. Everybody's racist. It's like, it's like BLM. Oh, well, all lives matter, not just Black lives matter. Like, we understand that, but if you're not addressing the problem, you're never going to resolve it.
Okay. All right, give me a second here. I want to come to introduce Popcorn. Popcorn, how are you?
Living the dream. I'm excited to be here. How are you?
Wonderful. Good. Can you tell the people, are you someone that normally votes on the left or the right? And after that, can you tell me, do you think that politics has widened the divide within our country?
So previous Democrat, about 20 years ago, 18 years ago, I switched Republican and have since not agreed with a lot of the Republican stances. And yes, I believe that politicians on the left and right seek to divide the American people, to distract us and get away with their nefarious activities.
Okay. And wait, Popcorn, you said that you disagree with the Republicans? What, I missed that last part that you just said.
Yes, I disagree with the Republicans. It started back, I guess, with Mitt Romney, John McCain, and all that, and basically showed me that they're not much better than the Democrats. But since then, the Democrats have went way to the left. So,
Oh, okay. All right. So you disagree with the Republicans, but you still vote with them because you think that the Democrats are too far left.
They're the lefts of the two evils. Absolutely.
Okay. All right. Perfect. I want to get a quick perspective from you, Popcorn. Do you think that racism has been perpetuated by either party, right? Whether it's the left continues to call the right racist because there's racist, policies or actions that are being taken, or the right saying that the left is racist because all they want to do is talk about racism and not wanting to address the fact that we're all Americans. Where do you fall on that position?
I think that the left uses the past racism that, of course, there's always racism. There'll always be racism. Let's be honest. But I think that the left wants to hold on to that for political talking points. And I think people like Al Sharpton would be without a job if it wasn't for racism. So they promote it in order to gin people up and say, hey, look what these Republicans are racist. And if you turn on CNN, MSNBC, or whatever, any liberal news station, they will constantly, at least 4 or 5 times an hour, bring up race and this is racist, that's racist, schnazi and all this other stuff. And, and me personally being on the right, I've personally never seen a neo-Schnazi before in my life. I'm sure they exist. I know they exist. I've seen them on YouTube. Never ran into one. If I did, I'd probably strike them in the jaw, but, not seen them.
Okay.
Personally.
Okay. Give me a second here. All right. I want to come to Diamond. Diamond. So there's been some interesting terminology that has been thrown around a lot lately. And there's been a key word, fatigue, right? And there's been quote unquote black fatigue, and there's been quote unquote white fatigue. Diamond, I guess the question I have for you is, one, is there really fatigue when it comes to the race of someone, right? White fatigue, black fatigue. And two, how is that notion harmful when it comes to what the real issues are? Because a lot of people can say, oh, I'm fatigued, I'm tired of hearing about this. But if there's real issues, shouldn't we want to hear those real issues?
So yeah, most definitely. If there are real issues, we definitely want to hear about those. Honestly, I'm not even gonna lie to you. When I first saw the TikToks going around talking about black fatigue, I got a little triggered because I was like, dang, this is so inherently racist, right? And when you take a deeper dive into it, I do believe that just kind of perpetuates off of stereotypes that are placed onto our culture and our community and our people. So if someone sees someone acting, in a certain stereotype, what has been cast upon us, then it's, oh, well, Black fatigue. I'm so tired of this. I'm so tired of that. And they use that to essentially express their views. And I think that's harmful because, like you said, when you say fatigue, that means you're tired. So how are you essentially tired of Black people? Essentially, how are you essentially tired? Like, what are they doing? Is it just existing that is tiring you out? Would you rather not see us acting in society? Would you rather us not, participating in your society because you want your society to look a certain way? You want us all to behave a certain way, no matter the culture, race, creed, whatever the case may be. Now you can say that you are essentially fatigued for, you know, overall how the society overall is acting, not in regards to like one specific race. Like right now I'm tired about a lot of things, but I wouldn't dare come out of my mouth and say, oh, white fatigue, because then at that point I would be bunching in all of these people in this one specific thing to say that, oh, they all belong in here, so they all make me tired because essentially one person does it. So then I don't know. It's just I'm trying to essentially state that it shouldn't. I just don't like Black fatigue, because when I hear somebody or see somebody say that, then that just, you're just tired of Black people existing. That's just not the entire term is just inherently racist. It's so racist. Any type of term where you are referring to someone's race and you're saying that you're tired is just inherently racist. And so that's what I'm babbling on about, essentially.
Yeah. Thank you so much for that, Diamond. Also, for the people in the chat and the people on the panel, please remember, this is not only a panel conversation, panel discussion, but this is a respectful place. So we're going to keep it respectful in the chat, and we're going to keep it respectful on the panel. We don't do that here, especially on late nights. So guys, get it together. Thank you. I want to come to Melissa, because Melissa, after listening to Diamond, I kind of disagree. And Melissa, I think you're gonna and Melissa, am I wrong by assuming I looked at you, you are a white woman, right?
I am.
Okay. Melissa, I have white fatigue. I do. And okay. I'm being honest and transparent about it, but it's not white fatigue in the sense of like, oh, I'm looping every single white person in, because that's not what's happening. But Popcorn just said something at the end of his conversation where he said he hasn't seen like Nazis and, marching around. And I feel like I see white nationalists and Nazis every day, whether it's someone dressing up in a full-blown Nazi uniform and walking around downtown in Athens, whether it's a group of white men in masks marching down the streets, chanting, white man, what is it, white man fight back, or white man stand up? No, there it is, white man stand up. Or whether it's this past weekend for Halloween, where multiple white people thought it was a good idea to do blackface and perpetuate the harm of Black people. So I do have white fatigue, but it's not for all white people. It's for specifically the white people who are perpetuating harm for all Americans and highlighting that harm with Black people. So my question to you is, are you seeing the same thing, or am I off base?
No, you are not. I just moved 4 months ago from the most rural part of Tennessee, well, probably not the most rural, to Las Vegas. And first off, right after I moved, there were a group of men in triple K robes parading around the town, carrying flag inside of flag. And of course, nobody stopped them. They're, because nobody does. That happens there a lot, especially on the college campus. When the Black students try to have demonstrations, they're always interrupted. And I also have I have a Hispanic adopted son who, when Donald Trump was running the first time, he was in 5th grade, and his 10-year-old classmates were telling him that Donald Trump was going to send him back where he came from. And now he is 20, and at work, he works at a restaurant, and patrons of the restaurant will stop him and ask him if he's legal, if he has his papers. So no, you are not way off base.
Okay. Perfect. Give me a second here. Guys, just a reminder, let's go ahead and like the stream. Let's get the likes up to 100,000 likes. As a matter of fact, I'm going to give you guys a goal, stretch goal, 10 minutes. 10 minutes. Let's go ahead and get the likes up to 100,000 likes within 10 minutes. If we are not at 100,000 likes in 10 minutes, we're going to turn the comments off. So tap the screen. Let's go ahead and get the likes up. Also, if we can knock out the daily gift goal, that'll help push the live out as well. And just a reminder, we do have a nightly donation goal of $250. We have 741 people hanging out here. So if 250 people send $1, we can definitely hit our nightly donation goal. Cash App, PayPal, Venmo, all the pay links and link are in the bio. Santana Speaks for You. Santana Speaks for You is the best way to support the live. Everything is accepted. Anything's appreciated. If you're over on the YouTubes, you can send a super chat and I will read that out. Jake, I want to come to you because you mentioned that you're biracial, right? And living life in America as a biracial person, that's never been an easy situation, right? I'm not biracial, but I know, the constant struggles that biracial people have as far as, not being Black enough to be accepted by Black people, but also not being white enough to pass as white. So the actual divide in the country is something that I'm sure, hits you right in the shoulder plex, right? Because it's literally tearing at who you are. But I guess the bigger question that I have for you is there fatigue? And if so, is it white fatigue? Is it Black fatigue? What are you seeing? Jake, I'm going to send you a request to come off mute.
So I was muted. Okay, so I actually made a comment. It's not, for me, it's not white fatigue or Black fatigue. And I want to address a couple of things. It's, in my opinion, Trump fatigue. As somebody who voted both ways, I voted for John. I'm 50 years old, so I voted for John McCain when he ran against Obama. I voted on the premise of service, loyalty, duty. John McCain was a good American, a war hero. And then, having seen Barack Obama do a really great job as the president of the United States, I voted for Barack Obama. So I voted both ways. But this level of discourse in our politics is Trump fatigue. It's not white fatigue or Black fatigue. And with all due respect to the panelists and anyone listening, you may not be a racist if just because you're MAGA or just because you're Republican, but you're racist adjacent. I'm sorry if that offends, but there's only one side of the column that's coming out for, racism right now, and you don't see folks on the left talking about racist policies, but folks on the right are. And, the Triple K and the neo-Nazis are not coming out on one side; they're coming only out on the other side. So, apologies to all, but I'm like I said, I'm old enough to wish there was a discourse. John McCain ran against Barack Obama, and somebody questioned his ethnicity and his being American, and John McCain said, no, he's a good American. So the discourse has changed. It's not white fatigue or black fatigue. It's Trump fatigue, in my opinion.
Okay. All right. Perfect. Give me a second here. Guys, holy smokes. Massive W's in the chat for Anonymous. Anonymous added $100 to our nightly donation goal. Guys, I want to see 1,000,000 W's in the chat for Anonymous. Thank you so much for that $100 donation. You are absolutely far too kind. Guys, that means we're only $150 away from closing out our nightly donation goal. So again, if 150 people send $1, we can close out our goal. Cash App, PayPal, Venmo, pay links in the link tree in the bio. Santana Speaks for You, best way to support the live. If you're over on YouTube, you can send a super chat and I will read that out. W's in the chat for Anonymous. Keep it going, guys. Jeff, I want to come back to you. Because, hey, Jake just made a great point. While we may not say that every single person on the right is racist, you don't see the Triple K, Schnazis, Proud Boys, Boogaloo Boys, those self-identifying hate groups who specifically hate people because of their race. You don't see them aligning themselves with the left. You see them openly and loudly and proudly aligning themselves with the right. So, Jeff, my question is, isn't that a damning vote of confidence from those type of people for your side?
No, not at all.
Okay, tell me why.
Well, one, it doesn't matter, because if it did, Donald Trump wouldn't have been elected president once, and he sure would not have been elected twice with 34 felony accounts and the lowest approval rating going into an election. Two, as Popcorn had said, he, not calling him out, but he was an example of somebody who voted Democrat, switched up because things change, and he said it's, voted one way because of the lesser of the two evils. He's not necessarily fully bought in. He's not necessarily saying that he endorses it, right? But it's the lesser of the two evils. These groups have to pick one of two parties, okay? They either pick party on the left or party on the right, and they have to find something that aligns with them. You could say Donald Trump's immigration policy would be favorable to a white supremacist, right? That doesn't mean all people who voted for Donald Trump, right, are a white supremacist. But if your goal is to not necessarily reduce illegal immigration, but reduce people of different shades of color coming into the country, then yeah, you probably would vote for Donald Trump. I'm not naive in saying that. Does it matter? No. Does Jake's opinion on MAGA fatigue affect me or the 77 million people that voted for Donald Trump? Not at all. So the fatigue only exists in the left. They're fatigued together. And I would be too. I would be fatigued listening to Donald Trump. But unfortunately, well, for you guys, he's in power. So, I mean, I don't know how you move on from it other than backing a candidate and moving forward. But the MAGA is here to stay. It is not going anywhere. So the fatigue ain't going anywhere.
Yeah. So I want to push back on something that you said, and not necessarily the MAGA fatigue, because I do have a thought behind that, but more so the actual thought behind the fact that it doesn't matter, right? I disagree with the fact that it doesn't matter. And the reason why I say that is because anytime you have a hateful group that supports a cause, right? When they unite behind hate and then they throw that united power behind a cause, in my opinion, that's cause for alarm. And I know people use the word fascist a lot. And when they say fascist, a lot of people don't know what fascism actually is. But to truly understand what fascism is and to say someone is a fascist, like that's a dangerous thing. So I guess the only thing that I will come back and say, Jeff, is if you have people who are openly saying, hey, I am a fascist, right? And they're saying that I support this person. We support this person. We support this group. And I'm not putting a name on, I'm not even calling Donald Trump. I'm saying in general. Does that not give you cause for a pause if you are not a fascist yourself?
Not at all.
Why?
Remotely, because Donald Trump is not a fascist.
I'm not saying Donald Trump.
Oh, I know. But
again, stick with me. No. I need you to listen. No, just
matter,
stop for a second, Jeff. Stop for a second and listen to what I'm saying. Because I'm not even saying the Republican Party. I'm not saying Donald Trump. I'm not saying the Democratic Party. I'm saying in general. If someone is saying, I identify as a fascist, and since I identify as a fascist, I align myself with this person, would that not give you a reason to pause?
No, it wouldn't. I could care less what another individual and their reasoning is for voting for Donald Trump.
Again, you keep saying Donald Trump. I'm not talking about Donald Trump. We're not talking about Donald Trump.
Well, okay, well, I guess
I'm trying to.
Sure.
No, yeah, exactly, and that's why I'm trying to get you to break away from the thought process that we're talking about Donald Trump in the moment, because we're not. I got your point on the specific groups that we're talking about. I'm just saying in general, if there is someone saying that I am a fascist and I align with this person because they align with my fascist views, is that something that would cause you to pause?
No, I don't know how else I can say no, it wouldn't.
Okay, I mean, I'm just trying to clarify it because you keep going away from where I'm trying to stay because you want to talk about Donald Trump, and I am not saying Donald Trump.
Well, in all fairness, we were talking about MAGA fatigue for like 20 minutes. You sit yourself in the lead of the question. A lot of people don't know what fascism is. So if someone wants to proclaim that a hypothetical candidate that I hypothetically support is also a fascist, I would, one, challenge their definition of what a fascist is, and then two, what they believe in, I don't care. I mean, I've never ever cared enough to what other people either think or what group of people aligns with what I align with. Because if I align with it, it wouldn't cause for a pause, would it? Because if it caused for a pause, I probably wouldn't be voting with that same individual. Or if I am voting for that same individual, I would say they're really not voting for a fascist, because I wouldn't be doing that. So no.
Okay. All right, perfect. Thank you for that, Jeff. The one thing that I will follow up and say is that, again, I think that a lot of terms are used and people don't understand the terms, whether it is fascist, whether it is racist, whether it is communist, socialist. Like, people throw around a lot of words and they don't understand those words. I'm not one of those people. If I call someone a fascist, it's because they meet all 14 tenets of fascism, or at the very least, they meet the 9 core principles of fascism, and they model themselves after historical fascist leaders like Hitler, like Franco, like Mussolini. And so I have an understanding of that. And I just want to go on record and say, I am Antifa. I don't care who the person is. I will never align myself with a fascist. And I don't care what their name is. That's not something that I would actually do. But that was just me speaking up for half a second. W's in the chat for, I'm not going to use this person's name because they said don't use this name because it's dead. And so absolutely. But thank you so much for the $1 donation, saying thank you for all your hard work. This is all I can give. Listen, when I tell you that anything is accepted and everything's appreciated, I truly mean that. You are freaking awesome. Thank you so much for that $1 donation. I really mean it. You're way too kind. W's in the chat for Lots, who sent a $5 super chat to say, it's not much, but I'm here. I'm here for you. I'm sorry. Here you go. Keep doing what you're doing. Thank you so much for that $5 donation. W's in the chat for T over on this YouTube, who sent a $5 super chat to say, $5 Canadian, say, love and respect from Canada, Santana. Thank you so much. My neighbors from the north. W's in the chat for X, who sent a $20 super chat and didn't say anything, but sent some love. So I appreciate it. And W's in the chat for AOC 2028, who sent a $9.99 super chat to see. I see people I see people bashing people for just being born with disabilities. It's honestly disgusting. And I thank you for speaking up for speaking out on all types of isms. White fatigue is real. Thank you so much for that $9.99 YouTube super chat, guys. That means we are only $149 away from closing out our nightly donation goal. We have 108 people watching right now. We can definitely close out that nightly donation goal of 149 people send $1. Cash App, PayPal, Venmo, all the pay links and Linktree in the bio. Santana speaks for you. Best way to support the live. Everything is accepted. Anything's appreciated. If you're over on the YouTube, you can send a super chat, and I will read that out. Natalie, I want to come back to you. And then I'm gonna swap you out after this, my friend.
Sure.
Natalie,
I have a lot to respond. I got a lot.
Okay. Well, first question I have is, with the current temperament of politics and how politics can be very divisive, should you not take into consideration who's aligning themselves with certain political figures when you make your decision where you want to cast your vote?
Clarify that one more time.
Sure. What the reason, the fact that there's so much, I don't want to call it, there's so much anger, and it's perpetuated by politics. And making a decision where we vote one way or the other could be massively impactful to people's lives. Shouldn't we consider who other people are voting for, because it could be telling how they align themselves?
That's a big question. That's a huge question. I personally think that we should consider what other people are voting as. And I say that coming from my personal background. I'm in an interracial marriage. My husband is white, and he's originally from Eastern Shore, Maryland. Now, if anybody who's from Maryland knows that Eastern Shore, Maryland is very conservative, very, very red. And in fact, that was actually the origin of where Harriet Tubman was enslaved. That's the beginning of the Underground Railroad. So a lot of folks there, it's very much going in the past. They very country, and they say water and wash instead of water and wash and stuff like that. And my husband is from there originally. And so when it came to this last election, there was a lot of especially extended family members that were cut off. And there was a lot of good reason for it. I think number one, when it came to 2016, a lot of his family members did vote for Trump, including my mother-in-law. And we had the discussion. I had the discussion with her about that, and I could understand, like, 2016. Nobody has clairvoyancy in their wheelhouse of skills, right? So nobody could truly 100% predict what Trump was going to do in his first term until he got there. He could speak all he wants to speak, but like you don't really know what's going to happen. Like nobody knew C-19 was going to happen, yada yada. So you kind of can get that. But then here comes 2020. And we have Biden and we have Trump. Again, a lot of his family aligned with Trump, and I let that go, essentially because Biden won. And, I didn't have to necessarily protect myself as badly as if he was in office. But now we have strike number 3 in 2024, where I've already expressed the hurt and the pain of Trump's first administration, especially as a Puerto Rican especially after Hurricane Maria and, things that happened directly to the island as an effect of his presidency. And that's something that I expressed already the first and second time. So when it comes to this last election, if people are still having seen the evidence of Trump, still supporting him, how do you not kind of separate yourself from that? Because at that point in time, it's like, when people tell you who they are, you have to believe them. And essentially, this is where racism comes into play. Because when a person of color turns around and says, I have white fatigue, it's not coming from a place of racism, because I'm not looking at a white person as if they're less than or undeserving or inherently unworthy of certain things. I'm looking at them and in a light of, I don't trust you to have my best interest at heart. So how do you protect yourself other than looking at, especially in these political times where it's affecting people's lives directly? How do you not look at what somebody else is voting and say, I need to protect myself and my family?
Okay. All right. Well, listen, hey, Natalie, thank you so much for coming up. I really appreciate you hanging out with us and expressing that. I do think that there's a lot to be said about that, and especially the premise behind one's vote actually either voting for harm or perpetuating harm, and then wittingly or unwittingly doing so, but also having a track record and then knowing what this is. So I definitely agree with that. But thank you so much for coming up, and I appreciate you spending time on the panel. I'm gonna swap you out, okay?
Thank you for having me.
All right, thank you. Lou, I want to come to you. Because I haven't spoken with you in a while, and I apologize about that, but I want to give you the floor, and I would love to know what you think, right? Because I think it's dangerous to say that we can just be blind to the fact that certain people, certain groups are loud about their support one way or the other. And I guess my question would be to you, if someone is saying that they're a fascist and they're saying that I'm going to support this person because they align with me as a fascist, would that give you cause to pause as far as whether you're going to give your vote to that person or not?
Yeah, it would. I remember there were certain instances where certain harmful individuals in history that start with an H and end with an R, and there were comparisons made with certain individuals in office. Like the one that starts with a T and ends with a P. And those similarities were made. In fact, I think there was some sort of admiration there with how the dictatorship was taking place and how that level of command was admired. So yeah, it's definitely cause for pause. Absolutely.
Okay. Do you think that understanding that the perpetuation of harm is the goal of hate groups, and if those hate groups are being adamant about their support in that individual, should that be something that is not necessarily, because we've already talked about a pause for cause. Should it be something that is openly rejected by everyone? Because there's, as we can see, there's people who are willing to even say their vote doesn't mean anything to me. But should we be coming together with the other side and saying, hey, you see this as well, and you should be rejecting this? Or is it that we just need to, I guess, come back into our own cubbyhole with like-minded people and try to bolster where we are? What's your thoughts? Do we need to try to reach those other people who say, I don't see this? or do we just need to leave them behind and focus on, you know, the other people that do see it?
I think that this goes to question the humanity of certain individuals, right? So I think there are individuals that are so privileged where because of their privilege, they don't see harmful groups of people, right? So it's invisible to them. So they lack the empathy and the humanity to encounter the situations that would affect their vote, right? And then there's individuals that are constantly living under the harm of the society. So like to go back to the terminology you mentioned earlier, right? Which is actually is you know, I'd even argue it might even be a medical term, which is black fatigue, right? And I think black fatigue is more so the it causes a lot of damage to the heart because of having to live in the constant oppressive nature that the system is constantly weighing upon the black community, right? Like for example, this year, you know how I my heart breaks for the 300,000 plus black women that were furloughed or laid off or are no longer employed, right? From one moment to the next in a matter of like 3 or 4 months, I think. You know, and these are things that privileged individuals don't have to think about because they don't have to worry about their jobs. They don't have to worry that one day they'll wake up and they'll be on the unemployment line looking for something to feed their families, right? But this is something that the black community does have to think about, whereas they don't. So it's not going to affect their vote. So for us to reach out to them, and we're constantly trying to tell them, hey, you know, these are things that are happening. Racism is real, you know, and they don't see it. It's invisible to them because they're just not affected by it, you know?
Yeah, yeah. I think that there's a lot behind that, and I do think that certain people with privilege, they are shielded by their privilege, and I think not seeing it is ignorant, but even more so, it's comfort, right? I do think that there are certain people that revel in that right to comfort, and I guess the last thing that I have for you, Lou, and then I'm going to swap you out, my friend, is I think that something that's at play here, and it was kind of touched on before, but I think a lot of people don't get it, is capitalism and racism are intimately entwined. And a lot of people don't understand how uh, people who, classes who use capitalism to the maximum levels perpetuate racism to widen the gap between the proletariat, right, the working class, in order to keep people against each other. Do you think that we'll ever get to the point where people understand that the issue is really capitalism, in the sense of that they're using this to separate us, and leaning into racism is harmful to everyone?
I'd go so far as to say that the reason why the work you do, Santana, is so crucial in our day and age is because the media, it has a way of masking and it has a way of indoctrinating the individuals to think certain things. You know, I'd argue that the reason Trump won the presidency is because he constantly attacks the eyes of the public. He constantly attacks the journalists. He constantly attacks all the media outlets, as we can see with what happened at the Pentagon, right? So one of the things about capitalism that is so strong and strongly tied to racism is that it thrives on scarcity, and it thrives on um, the taking of resources globally, right? With what we can see with what's happening in Sudan, which is it's awful. You know, the crisis, the humanitarian crisis that has it's greater than anything we've ever seen in Sudan right now, right? All for the sake of capitalism, something that the U.S. has contributed $1.4 billion to. But these are things that nobody talks about, you know, except for you and other creators on here that are knowledgeable about the situation in Sudan. And why is it happening? Because of the access to the Red Sea, you know, because of the gold, the amount of gold that Sudan has, because of capitalism, you know, the situation in the Congo with the cobalt, right? You know, we use cobalt for smartphones. We use it for so many items that we enjoy, right? But we don't know where it comes from. We don't know that capitalism is encouraging these proxy wars in these nations, so that Americans can enjoy these things. All of these things stem from capitalism, right? The destruction of nations for the sake of comfort is the root of capitalism, right? So
yeah. You know what? I couldn't agree more, and I think that without a deeper understanding of that, we're going to continue to be in this perpetual cycle of blaming others for the lack of success or the lack of freedom or the lack of safety, and not understanding that it's all built together in order to just promote the ultra wealthy, promote the people at the top, promote the people who have access to all of the means, while they harm everyone else. But yeah, Lou, thank you so much for coming up. I really appreciate you hanging out with us on the panel tonight.
Oh, thanks for having me. It's always a pleasure.
Likewise, thank you. All right, Popcorn, I want to come to you next because I want to give you an opportunity to speak. I'm going to bring a couple more people up here in just a moment, but I do want to say thank you to a couple of different people. And I think it's pronounced Anya. Anya, thank you so much for the $4 donation. You say a 4 for 4. Thank you so much for that $4 donation. Pia, thank you so much for the $3 donation towards the nightly donation goal. You are awesome. And Farah, thank you so much for the $10 towards the nightly donation goal, saying you're awesome. Thank you so much. I really, really appreciate that. Also, W's in the chat for Joel. Joel sent a $5 donation saying, just donated to the food program. Unlike MAGA, we value others over our checkbook. W's, Joel. Thank you so much for that $5 super chat. Oh, and also W's in the chat for Alex, who sent a $19.99 super chat to say, hey, Santana, I'm new to your streams, and I wanted to ask, what's your opinion on the Sunshine Protection Act, on if it deserves to be passed through the House? Also, learn about you through Dean and Parker. Love you more. Thank you so much. I think the Sunshine Protection Act is an interesting idea. I think more than anything, like, daylight saving time serves a purpose. I know that passing it, it served a purpose more so like when we had to worry about like farming, and we were more so dealing with agriculture. So it's a lot to it. I don't know if it'll pass. It would be interesting if it did. Daylight savings time, I'm not gonna lie, you guys. I've been kind of messed up because of daylight savings time. So, you know, yeah. But anyway, thank you so much for that, guys. That means we're only $132 away from closing out our nightly donation goal. I know for a fact that we can hit it because we got 796 people hanging out here. So if 132 people send $1, we can close that out. Cash App, PayPal, Venmo, all the pay links and the links are in the bio. Santana speaks for you. Best way to support the live. Everything is accepted. Anything's appreciated. If you're over on the YouTube, you can send a super chat and I will read that out. Popcorn, coming to you. I want to hear from you because while you do currently support the Republican Party, you openly admitted to formerly being a Democrat, and even more so, you seem like you're someone that you made the statement of, you know, lesser of two evils. So, Popcorn, I want you to take current people out of this. We're not talking about Donald Trump. We're not talking about Thank you for the boxing gloves. We're not talking about anyone specific, but I do have to, ask the question, Popcorn, if you realize that fascists are saying that I align with person X and you were thinking about supporting person X, would that give you cause for pause, knowing that someone who is openly admitting to being a fascist is supporting this person as well?
Absolutely not, and I'll tell you why. A lot of folks on the left are saying what you're saying there, and that Trump is a fascist.
Okay, Popcorn, stop for a second. Stop for a second.
Yeah.
Because again, we're not talking about Trump. We're not talking about Trump.
Okay.
And we're not even talking about political affiliation. I'm not talking about the left. I'm not talking about the right. I'm just saying specifically, let's say you, Popcorn, are getting ready to vote for your mayor, right? And there's a local group of fascists who's coming out and saying, like, yes, we like this mayor because he aligns with our fascist ideas. Would you say, you know what? I don't care that these guys that are openly fascists are aligning with themselves with the mayor.
Right.
I'm just going to go ahead and vote for the mayor. What do you think about that?
Well, if that's all I'm hearing, then then obviously I would not take what they're saying. I would take what they're saying with a grain of salt. But if I'm hearing somebody from like the Nation of Islam saying that God gave him or this person that's running to us, or he stood against which I don't know if you can say this, the JEW-ish community. I don't want your money. Or saying that he's destroying the enemy from within. And that's coming from like the Nation of Islam, while hearing those people that's saying, I'm a fascist and I support this guy. Obviously, that's two completely polar, different, opposite sides of the political spectrum. And while I won't really pay attention to those, yeah, I'll hear it. But if you're hearing from both sides, like this dude is pretty good. Obviously, I would.
But
make
wouldn't
my
that
own
be
assessment.
antithetical to each other? Like, why would two completely different, ideologies support one person? That doesn't even make sense.
Well, it's happened.
Can you give me
It's
a specific
happened.
example?
Yeah, Louis Farrakhan in 2017, November, said that this person that we can't talk about right now, God.
Oh, you mean
has
Donald
sent him.
Trump?
Yes, Donald Trump.
When Louis Farrakhan supported, yeah, well, that's because Louis Farrakhan actually is someone who perpetuates misogyny, right? Like, yes, Louis Farrakhan is a member of the Nation of Islam, but he is
Right.
absolutely someone who upholds the patriarchal system and traditional male roles. And so understanding the actual premise of like having a man in power versus a woman in power is absolutely something that he would stand on. So
But that's
while
not what he
he is,
mentioned.
it doesn't have to be something that he mentioned. I mean, you can talk about his talking points, but you can also talk about his history as far as who he is, and then also the history of what he's perpetuated. And when you talk about Louis Farrakhan and whether he wanted a woman in power or a man in power, he was going to pick a man. So like, I think that's a little bit of a misnomer. Now, if you were saying specifically, right, let's say if you said, if you were talking about, I'll even give you this one. If you were talking about like BLM, the Black Lives Matter group, and then also the Triple K, both of them coming out together and saying, we support this person specifically. Like, I think that would be something that would, would be what you're saying. But I think one off when you talk about like Louis Farrakhan, who is a known sexist, I think that's a little disingenuous.
Yeah, but you can have more stances than just being a sexist. You can be anti big government. You can be anti feds, and so like you got to look at that too. You just can't say, well, this guy's a sexist and that's all he is. That's not all. That's not all what Louis Farrakhan is. I disagree with
Right. I mean,
99%
I
what
agree
Louis
with.
Farrakhan stands for, but you can't just look at, well, that's because he's a misogynist. You can't look at that,
No, I agree with you, but I think again, just saying that because Louis Farrakhan said that, and is specifically pointing to one or two, as far as like Hillary Clinton or Donald Trump. Like I think that's, again, that's a little bit disingenuous, but I want to stick closer to what I'm saying. And so going back to the original point, just by knowing, because I don't even want to say like conflicting point of views. So you can say, if you're going to vote for, again, that same situation, the mayor and the Nation of Islam is supporting that mayor, or if you're going to vote for that mayor and the Triple K is going to support that mayor, is there any situation where if there's like an extreme group in your opinion that gives you a pause for cause and you'll reconsider like putting your support behind that person?
I would base it off of what I see, not based on what somebody else sees. But I would also consider the fact that everybody is tired of the political system that has been developed over the last many decades, well before we were born, and that system was already getting started. I would consider my decision based on what I feel, but you know, when I see an outsider come in and run for office, of course, I'm going to provide my backing or support for that individual. And I think I kind of align myself with the Louis Farrakhan, or, you know, somebody on the far right who is just disgusted and tired of the politics that has divided this nation to the point where, and I'll be honest, you know, I don't want you to cut me off, but you know, I think that you're looking for answers that are reaffirming your dislike or distaste for people on the right, people that back Trump. I think that you wouldn't like to hear about my background, the fact that I was like an Eminem, that when I was growing up, I identified more with the black culture than the white. I didn't listen to country music. I listened to rap and hip hop.
I'm really confused as far as what this has to do with the overall question, though, Popcorn. And also, I don't want to go on a monologue because I do want to pass it around the panel. So, like, I would really like to kind of stay where we are. So you kind of gave me your answer. So the last thing I have for you at this moment, Popcorn, is understanding the weight of the political system, right? And understanding that overall, the political system has shown itself to be one that doesn't necessarily benefit everyday Americans.
Absolutely.
Do you think that the actual harm that's being perpetuated by one side or the other is greater, or do we need to look towards capitalism and see how capitalism is actually taking advantage of the working class?
I think too much of anything, to include capitalism, water, food that you need to eat. You know, too much of anything is bad for you. But I would say outside of capitalism, look at other forms of type of systems like socialism, communism. Point to one other system out there that has worked flawlessly and provided freedom for people to prosper as much as capitalism has. So no, I would not say that capitalism has caused this. Again, too much capitalism is bad, but no, I wouldn't blame it on capitalism. I would blame it on politicians that have had thousands of years of passed down knowledge and information and data to indoctrinate the people and to get them on places like TikTok and spew hatred against one side or the other. That's what I think the problem is now.
Okay. All right. Perfect. Give me a second here. Welcome in, Matt Raid. Thank you guys for joining. If you don't mind, tap the screen, share the live. Let's go ahead and get the likes up. Let's get the likes up to 200,000 likes. Also, W's in the chat for Kathleen, who sent a $5 donation towards the nightly donation goal. Guys, that means we only have $127 to close out the nightly donation goal. And there, we can definitely close that out. There's almost 1,000 people hanging out here. If you like to support the live, you can do so. Cash App, PayPal, Venmo, all the pay links and links are in the bio. Santana Speaks for You, best way to support the live. If 127 people send $1, we can close out the nightly donation goal. If you're over on YouTube, you can send a super chat and I will read that out. If you're someone that wants to join the panel, you can go ahead and request up. This is a conversation. We are digging into the divide in the country, the left and the right, and we're talking about the different indicators that causes the divide and who we're trying to get to the root of who is actually perpetuating said divide. Jake, I want to come to you one more time and then I'm going to swap you out. Jake, I guess the place that I kind of want to land with you, because it seems like so far, and I'm just going to call it how it is, the people that we've spoken with on the right are not necessarily saying that, hey, there's deal breakers when it comes to specifics, right? I mean, we've talked about the fascists, or people saying, fascists supporting people, or even like hate groups supporting said people, and the two people who said they vote on the right tend to say that they're not going to engage with it. Now, I know you said that you had like Trump fatigue, but the last question I have for you is it harmful overall when we have a group of people who refuse to even say like hate groups that are supporting a political figure is a bad thing, and maybe we shouldn't align ourselves with someone that aligns with a hate group? You know, the whole term enemy of my enemy is my friend, like being kind of parallel to that person without being directly connected to it.
So I appreciate you having me on for the live, and some things are antithetical to my way of thinking. A couple of folks who were on the panel were saying that, well, it doesn't matter to me that XYZ group believed in XYZ, and you very patiently tried to get people to understand that, like, I'm just asking a hypothetical question. If so-and-so is a fascist and those fascist groups believe in what you believe, does that give you a moment's pause? And I found that most people struggled to it. And I actually put a thing in a comment about hinching, not the other word. And I said, if a group of people believed in, quotes, hinching and you didn't, would it give you pause to align yourself with their vote? Because now I'm not saying that the current political figures believe in hinching, but isn't that what we're asking? Do you, if there are certain parties, the Triple K or the Proud Boys, or if they believe in hinching and they're believing in what you're believing in, does that give you a moment's pause? And as a centrist, my answer is, why not? Like, what about that group or those people aligns with what I believe? And that's my biggest question. Listen, my personal belief is that it's not left versus right. It's not brown versus white. It's top versus bottom. Most people in this country are on the bottom, and there's 1% that's on the top, and the current administration only fuels what's on the top. That's my opinion. May not be on topic what we're talking about tonight, but that's my opinion. But if
it's at the root of what we're talking about,
if those who are aligning with that, and then you got the Triple K and the Proud Boys and Mr. Kirk's organization all pushing on that same side, how can you align with it? It's not what America's supposed to be. And as I said from the beginning of this, is I have voted Republican, I have voted Democrat. I'm all about what's best for America. I did make one point of comments, and you didn't read it out loud, but I just want to reiterate it for a moment. Trump is the ultimate DEI. If you think about America and its history, it is old white men are presidents. And when Miss Clinton was running for president, she was far more well prepared to be president than Donald Trump, and she lost. And Kamala Harris was also far more prepared and more a public servant to be president, and she lost. So for all those on the far extreme to one side who want to say DEI is a bad thing, Donald Trump's the ultimate DEI. He's just an old white man who America was ready to vote for, but not for the person who was more well prepared for the job. So I appreciate you, Tom. I appreciate you for having me. This has been a great talk.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. No, thank you so much for coming up. I really appreciate you being up here and spending time with us. I would be remiss though if I didn't call out DEIA, which, you know, I'm never forgetting the accessibility portion of the DEIA. And I know there's some like harm that people say that is caused by saying, you know, oh, you know, weaponizing that term, but I get exactly what you're saying as far as like what people think that it is versus what it actually is. But you're spot on. But thank you so much for coming up, Jake. I really appreciate it. All right. We have two new people that joined the panel. I want to introduce the two new people. And then Jeff, I want to come back to you because I want to hear from you. So I want to go up to Ari. Ari, how are you?
I'm lying down, so if I go to sleep, I'm so sorry.
Okay. All right. Ari, are you someone that normally votes on the left or the right?
Disappointing. I'm actually not registered because I didn't turn 18 that long ago. I will get registered this year, though.
Okay. Well, as of right now, where do your political leanings lie?
I consider myself a leftist.
Okay. All right. And do you think politics has deepened the divide in the country?
I don't think it's politics. I think it's the people who get elected and the people who rely on the consistent and what feels like never-ending spread on misinfo.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
And I think it comes from both sides. I think last time I was here, I brought up Nancy Mace, and I did that to bring up a point of like, she's one of the main people who constantly spreads misinfo about trans people, or I can't say that word, sorry.
Why can't you say trans people?
Is that not a flag word on TikTok?
No, I talk about transgender people all the time here in my space.
Okay, well then I'll continue. I hope scapegoating is the right word. Scapegoating them, it makes people believe that like, oh, they're a problem when they're 1% of the country. And I think the more misinfo that gets spread, the worse outcome it will be for the American people, like the current SNAP problem. So I think it more comes from people and then the media and then journalists who want to pick and choose red or blue, like based on their mood.
Okay. Okay. Perfect. Give me a second here. G Granny, how are you? Send you a request to unmute. G Granny, how are you? I saw you swipe out. I'll send you a request to unmute one more time. Oh, I can't. G Granny, are you there? G Granny going once. G Granny going twice. Okay, I'm gonna drop you down, and if you want to request backup, you definitely can. W's in the chat for Conway. Conway sent $1 donation saying, "Thank you, Santana. Street Fighter Gang for life. Street Fighter Gang for life to you as well." W's in the chat for Matt. Matt called it out. Matt sent a $5 donation. Say maybe popcorn feels more black because Matt burned him to a crisp earlier. Listen, everybody smokes popcorn. Like if we're gonna keep it funky, popcorn is not good at this. Like not even a little bit. Like not Not even in the slightest bit is popcorn good at any of this. Anyway, guys,
You
that
can hear
means
the smoke
we
detectors going off now.
yeah. Guys, that means we are almost at our nightly donation goal. We only have $121 left until we actually meet our nightly donation goal. We can definitely hit that. There's 946 people hanging out here. If 121 people send $1, we can close out our nightly donation goal. Cash App, PayPal, Venmo, all the pay links and link tree in the bio. Santana Speaks for You. Santana Speaks for You is the best way to support the live. Everything is accepted. Anything's appreciated. If you're over on the YouTube, you can send a super chat and I will read that out. All right, Jeff, I want to come back to you for a second because I know that you have been kind of engaged in the chat, and I want to make sure that we give you an opportunity to speak on this because it seems like multiple people have taken the stance that the political biases that you're showing speaks to the issue that's occurring in the country today, and more so the fact that not that, we're saying, oh, Donald Trump is this, Donald Trump is that, but it seems like there is an unwillingness for people to engage in a different school of thought across the board. Do you think that is something that you can flip on its head and say that the left doesn't do that as well? What do you think?
Well, I don't think I even did that. I just simply didn't agree with the premise that I should pause when different groups of people who think different ideologies would hypothetically vote for my candidate. I don't pin it on anybody, right? Like that goes back to, I guess, all the engagement in the chat is, as soon as I have an opinion, which is fine, it's, berated in the chat of like spammed comments to me about like, I'm a racist, I'm a this, I'm a that, I'm a that. And like, we've been talking about that, right? All panel. And that's fine. Like, you call me whatever you want. It doesn't affect me. It doesn't affect Trump voters. And it's not a valid campaign strategy. So no, I don't pin it to the left because it doesn't do me any good as a Republican voter to say like, oh, you guys do it more. No, like we focus on who we think our best candidate is. We rally behind and we vote. We did it in the primaries with the current president, and I'm confident we'll do it again. And our campaign strategy has never been really to pin the left on anything. Even Trump's most successful campaign messaging is not necessarily targeted to the left. He does target the left, but that's not what got him elected. So it doesn't work, and I'll never say the left does things as like a way to just. I don't know. That's just not what I do. I don't ping pong issues back and forth, left and right. I just don't find it productive.
May I comment on that?
No. Give me a minute. So what I will say is that I think that that's a misnomer, right? And the reason why I say that is because there has been a perpetuation of identity politics, right? That has come from the right. And when I say identity politics, you can take a look at Donald Trump and his $215 million that were spent on targeting misinformation around transgender people. So when you say that, it's not something that's actually done where you talk about where the right talks about the left, I think that's disingenuous because I think the left talks about the right and I think the right talks about the left. But the bigger thing that I think needs to occur, because you did say something that was accurate. There's a saying, the left falls in love and the right falls in line. And I think that's bad on both sides. I think the fact that the left tend to fall in love with their candidates is a bad thing. I think the fact that the right tends to fall in line behind whoever their candidate is a bad thing as well. So, Jeff, my question to you is, how do we get both sides to pull a little bit from each other, right? Where maybe the right isn't just falling in line and they're looking for someone that is more idealistic to them, and the left is not just saying that I have to be in love with this person to support them, but they're more willing to actually just fall in line in order for progress. Like, how do we fix it so both sides aren't so stuck in the camps that they're in?
Well, I think the inherent issue is, I think, your viewpoint on that. The right isn't falling in line. The right had a free and open primary that the Democrats did not have for Harris. We had the option.
Let me stop you there for a second.
Wait. That's not fair.
No. Let me stop you for a second.
Finish my answer.
Because no, Jeff, you're specifically going away from where talking about the actual left and what they did or did not do. We're not talking about the right and what they did or did not do. We're talking about how do we get both sides to be less entrenched in who they are and get them closer to each other. That's the point that I'm trying to get to, not pointing the fingers. I'm trying to say, how do we get both sides closer together versus being further apart?
Got it. It's not pointing fingers. The point I'm making is you said that we fall in line. We do not fall in line. We chose President Donald Trump to run for our candidacy. I get he's a polarizing candidate. I get the left does not view him as somebody who will ever put them under their wing. It's not falling in line. We had multiple options, and they had a 96% approval rating for Donald Trump and voted for him. That's not falling in line.
This is not about Donald Trump. You keep going back to Donald Trump. Did I mention Donald Trump?
You said fall in line. What does that mean?
Exactly. Did I say Donald Trump?
Well, that's the person who's been in office.
Can you answer the question, Jeff? Did I say Donald Trump?
No, but you're talking about politics.
I said there is an old saying. I don't know. How old are you, Jeff?
How old am I? I'm 27 years old.
27. Okay, so I'm 11 years older than you, so you might not have heard the saying before. But there's an old saying, and I said there's an old saying, literally, that the left falls in love and the right falls in line. This was something that has been said before Donald Trump. This is not about Donald Trump. I am not talking about Donald Trump. So I need you to stop focusing on Donald Trump and engage with the actual critical thinking of what I'm saying. I'm not telling you that it's about Donald Trump. I'm saying the premise behind the two parties that has been perpetuated for years. And the premise behind the party, which has continued to be a thing, is the left has to fall in love with their candidate in order to fully support them. The right tends to fall in line behind whatever the candidate is, even if the candidate is not someone that they specifically find to be in line with their values. Now, how can we actually pull both groups out of their cubby holes and closer together so they're making decisions that's best for the country? Engage in that, Jeff.
Okay. The short answer is you really can't. There's fundamentally different ideologies, and it's that is what it is. Yeah, but you can, whatever the sayings don't mean reality. I get what you're saying is a saying that is not, coined by Santana. I just want to land my plane with challenging, saying that it is not us falling in line. We didn't fall in line with Trump. In fact, the Republican Party didn't want Trump.
Jeff, stop.
I know. I'll continue to talk about it. That's you guys talk about MAGA all live.
No, I'm gonna mute you, right? Because you keep trying to take it to somewhere that we're not going there. Like, I know that.
All live. So let's not pretend we have.
Can you stop for a second? You keep trying to go back there. You literally can't separate the word Trump from this conversation. I keep giving examples and specific scenarios because I don't want people to get buried into one politician because this is their politician. This live is not a debate. It's not a debate. This is literally a panel discussion, and it's a 3-night panel discussion. And at the end of the panel discussion, The point is to figure out, how do we address the divide in the country, not how do we justify our political views. It's not about justifying MAGA or Trump or the Republican Party. It's not about justifying the left or Democrats. It's about the American people and the amount of vitriol that's shared and the harm that's being perpetuated.
So you talk about MAGA fatigue for 20 minutes then. That makes sense.
I literally said black and white fatigue, and another panelist said MAGA fatigue. And yes,
But
I
they
brought the
can talk
question
about
up and I
MAGA.
passed it around. You won't engage with what I'm saying, Jeff, because you're
I
so
answered
stuck
it.
on where you.
I answered it. I said we can't.
That's fine. Okay.
Okay.
Not gonna do this. I'm not gonna do that. Like you again, literally, I've had you up here and I've tried to have you engage in actual critical thinking. It's so weird that you're so stuck that you can't even actually engage in critical thinking. That's weird. That's really weird. W's in the chat for Jody. Jody, thank you so much for the $3.13 donation, which we rounded up to 4. But daily dose of support, 5. Oh, it's 5 AUD. Oh, it's 5 Aussie. Okay, towards the nightly goal. If I can afford to feed myself tonight, hopefully this helped feed someone else tonight. Thank you so much for that $5 Aussie donation, guys. That means that we are now. Oh, wait, I didn't add that. Let me add that. Sorry. Boom. There we go. That means we are now only $117 away from closing out the nightly donation goal. If you'd like to support the live, you can do so. Cash App, PayPal, Venmo, all the pay links and links are in the bio. Santana speaks for you. Best way to support the live. Everything's accepted, anything's appreciated. If you're over on the YouTube, you can send a super chat and I will read that out. We have 2 new people on the panel. I want to make sure that we introduce the 2 new people. I want to hear from Melissa and Diamond again, and I want to make sure that we're able to pass it around the panel. I want to start with Brandon. Brandon, how are you?
Hey, I'm good. How about you?
Wonderful, wonderful. Brandon, are you someone that normally votes on the left or the right?
Normally on the left.
Okay. And Brandon, do you think politics has deepened the divide within our country?
Not necessarily politics itself, but the people being elected, I would say.
Okay. Perfect. With that being said, I kind of want to I want to propose the question to you that I tried to propose to Jeff. Because I do agree. I agree that not only is it the people, right? But I also agree that the system is structurally set up to keep us divided. Knowing that, how do we get people to stop being so entrenched in their side and bring them closer together? Because the harm that's being perpetuated and people are being used, how do we actually address that issue to get to a point where we're not at each other's throats so constantly?
Man, that's such a good question. I think partially to blame is legacy media, and particularly how a lot of misinformation is being spread through it. Actually, media in general, to be honest. It seems to me that a lot of people don't necessarily have a lot of media literacy, if you want to call it that, right? Where they aren't able to fully digest what they're watching and then go away and kind of do their own research and have their own takeaway. They're just watching, videos, and they're basically just parroting back what they hear on there, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, it definitely does. And I definitely agree that legacy media has failed us. And I think legacy media has failed us in multiple ways, in the sense that it's been perverted and the way that they've washed a lot of different things. And I think that legacy media as a whole is something that is less trustworthy now. And I think that specifically politicians on both the left and right want that, right? Because the legacy media has always been like the unseen fourth branch of the United States government, right? Constantly reporting and keeping people honest and transparent. But now it seems like they have not only a bias, but a lean, and they actually are willing to push different stories to either bolster one party or harm other party. And it doesn't seem like it's necessarily just set to one side or the other. So I agree with that. Brandon, I guess a follow-up question I have for you is how do we engage in more I guess sharing of information, understanding the legacy media is not necessarily what it used to be, and it's not going to support the people the way that it should. How do we actually support each other in that instance?
Well, I think for our generation, I'm assuming you're a millennial. Am I correct on that?
I am. Yes.
Okay. Yeah. A lot of our generation, we grew up, in libraries. We had to do a lot more critical thinking skills because social media was not as prevalent, right? Whereas a lot of younger people who are 18 or younger, they're growing up on social media. So I think we really kind of have to reteach critical thinking skills, which just seems to be something that is not taught anymore, in my opinion.
Yeah, I do. That's definitely a problem with our country. Now, I excuse me. I think that the United States has a racism problem. I think the United States has a capitalism problem. I think the United States has a critical thinking problem, a reading problem, an empathy problem. I think like there's a lot to be said for our country, and I think they're all tied in together. And I think even more so that if you spark the idea of critical thinking, then it really would help bolster those other things as well. So I think that's a great call out, Brandon. Perfect. I want to introduce the new person to the panel as well. Let's see here. Is it Teresa? Teresa? I'm sorry. How do I say your username? Send you a request to come off mute.
Tess?
Is it just Tess?
Tess Irish, yeah.
Tess Irish. Okay. All right. Sorry. Tess Irish. How are you?
Good. It's late. I'm kind of talking a little soft. My family's gone to bed, but I'm good.
No worries. Are you someone that normally votes on the left or the right?
The last couple of elections, it's been left. I used to be very vehemently right, and I was more Reagan politics, but this has kind of gone a little crazy, and everything's just pushing me more left lately.
Okay. And so I'm assuming that you're acknowledging the actual gap. I'm sorry, the divide in the country due to politics.
100%. It's very divided, and it's, to me, just looking outside in, because I consider myself an independent. I still might vote some right topics. We have we have our elections tomorrow for propositions here in Texas, and so there's some things that I might vote right on, but there's going to be more that are kind of leftish, because Texas, one of our big things is that we're getting rid of public school funding, and I'm very, very, very supportive in the public schools. We have a lot of kids who go home to a parent who works 2-3 jobs, doesn't have a full meal. I don't think we should be taking meals away from the kids. Just all this stuff, and I feel like they're my kids. I don't want them going hungry. And I don't think that we're on the right track here. In that respect, I vote leftist, but there's still some other topics that I might vote right.
Can you tell me what those topics are?
Yeah, like funny enough, there's a couple of economic ones. Like Texas is starting up its own stock exchange. My husband happens to be in the stock field, and I'm, one of the specifics of it goes into it, but I'll be voting right on that, considering he is where he is, and it's such a new bill. It's not going to affect public school funding. But it is a right. It's conservative in an economic sense. So yeah, and it's not so much necessarily just for me. If it was affecting school funding, that's my biggest thing, because the vouchers. I have my kids in public school. We don't have, me and my family, we could send our kids to private school and we would be fine. We're very fortunate people. We're very blessed people. But I have everybody I know around me that is not as fortunate as us. And I'm kind of a unicorn here in Texas, small, tiny town. And we're in a very fortunate place. But I'm not looking to keep our money. I kind of want to make sure everybody around me is as comfortable as I am.
Okay. So, and maybe I missed this. Did you say that you are or are not for school vouchers?
Not at all for school vouchers.
Okay. Perfect. So you tend to vote left when it comes to overall premises that it sounds like it when it engages with items that affect like the quality of life, or specifically, different human life, but you tend to vote right when it comes to certain economic practices. Is that kind of where you are?
Yeah, and it all kind of determines. It's all determined on. There's some things, like there's a proposition that clearly states citizens are the only ones allowed to vote. I'm voting no on that because it's a waste of time. It shouldn't even be going through anyway. That's already law. When it comes to some tax policies, if it's anything that's going to affect specifically, especially school funding, because the school vouchers, because the state of Texas is trying to destroy public school funding, I'm voting no on it because that's the most important goal for me. And it might affect some of my conservative tax voting typically. But, priorities for me, it's all of these kids that I volunteer with the school system. And I look at all these kids and I know them. I know their families. I'm in a small town. I don't want them hurt. I don't want my friends who have kids hurt and affected. So it's a priority thing. If it was, yeah.
Okay. All right. I hold that thought because I'm going to come back to you and I have a couple more questions. But I want to say really quick, guys, W's in the chat for Gabriel. Gabriel sent I'm sorry, not Gabriel, Gabriella. Gabriella sent a $17 donation saying 17 is my lucky number. 24 is mine. 24 is absolutely mine. W's in the chat for Gabriella. Also, W's in the chat as well for Christina, who sent a $2 donation saying, hello from Washington State. Tomorrow is election day, and I was wondering what the objective of this election for what's the objective for this election for Washington. Thank you for making a difference. Yeah, I mean, the objective for me is always to make sure that my vote matters. The thing that I love about being in Washington State, because I'm from South Carolina, but I love that they mail our ballots to us. And not only do they mail our ballots to us, like we get email updates, we get like text messages, all this other stuff. There's literally a ballot box 2 blocks away from where I live. So I get my ballot in the mail. I have time. They send us like informational packets and booklets about like the candidates. If we haven't done our own research, it's like a whole thing. But like the way that Washington State does, their voting is like S tier. But like it's so awesome. But yeah, it's to make sure my vote is heard, and which I always vote early because of that. So thank you so much for that. W's in the chat for Cassandra, who added $10 to the nightly goal, saying thank you for the work that you do. Thank you so much, friend. W's in the chat for I think is Katnin. Thank you so much for the $10 donation, Sam. Respect and love. I really appreciate you. Thank you so much. And W's in the chat for Amy. Amy sent a $10 donation. Thank you so much for that $10 donation. I won't read that out loud, Amy, but thank you. Especially on a day like today, that actually means a lot. Seriously. You have no idea. Thank you so much for that $10 donation. Guys, that means we're only $68 away from closing out our nightly donation goal. I know for a fact that we can hit it. If 68 people send $1, we can close out the nightly donation goal. Cash App, PayPal, Venmo, all the pay links and links are in the bio. Santana speaks for you. Best way to support the live. Everything's accepted, anything's appreciated. If you're over on the YouTube, you can send a super chat and I will read that out. Diamond, I want to come back to you because it's been a while and I want to get a final thought from you. Diamond, the point that I want to get to in this conversation, not only from tonight, but over the next 2 nights in this conversation, is I'm hoping we'll be able to get to a point where we can address the things that are perpetuating in our politics. I still haven't really gotten to talk about like how racism is such a key component of electoral politics, right? There's a marker that I have down that talks about like how both the left and right use racism in order to push their political agenda, right? And they use black and brown bodies as capital, right? Where the like the left specifically leans heavily on the black vote, and the right tends to lean heavily on like the Latino vote, especially like Cubans and things along those lines. But it seems like both sides failed to do anything that actually does anything beneficial for those black and brown bodies. They still just continue to want their vote without doing anything for any of those people. And so that's something that I want to make sure that we get into as well, is the usage of those black and brown bodies without actually doing anything to benefit those people. So Diamond, what I would like to get from you is, why are both sides using these people as political capital, whether it's for a good or a bad thing, and they're not doing anything actually beneficial for those people?
Woo, Santana, that was a whopper right there, man. Oh man,
You should see my notes. We haven't even scratched the surface yet.
Oh man. So when it comes to the left and the black vote, like you said, the left heavily depends on the black vote. And a lot of people like to point out when Joe Biden made that joke, which was a very poor joke, very in poor taste, but he was like, if you don't vote for me, you ain't black. So when it comes to like using that, that is very unfortunate because they want us to help them get into the office, but like you said, not enact policies that will end up helping people of color out in the long run. Now, when it comes to the right, more so trying to use the Latino community, that is more so them picking up on and I mean, people are going to think I'm kind of crazy when I say this, but it picks up on that insecurity that some, Cubans, or not necessarily Cubans, but Latinos have when it comes to having or wanting a proximity to whiteness. So they pick up on that and they say, okay, well, we see that the left has their own marginalized community that can help them get in high office, in high places, to enact these policies. So if we want our
You kind of have some wind blowing in your mic now.
Sorry, it was my mini fan. Sorry, hold on, let me turn off.
No worries. Guys, keep tapping the screen. Let's get up to 200,000 likes. We should definitely be at 200,000 likes now. Tap the screen for me, please, if you don't mind.
But essentially, what was I saying? Okay, yeah. So essentially, the right looks at the left and say, okay, well, they have the Black people, they have their marginalized minority. So we also need a marginalized minority to help us get into these positions of power, to enact these policies that we want, because we recognize that when it comes to our total base, when it comes to our total outlook of who votes for us, our racism isn't just going to be enough. We need these other communities that come out in numbers and have large voting power to come out and vote for us. So that's why they target, us as Black people. That's why they target Latinos. That's why they do that, and going back to, what you said in regards to like how they fall in line, like a lot of Republicans, they tend to vote Republican because, that's all they're used to and that's all they know. I knew, let's stress that I knew some Republicans, that voted that way strictly because their mom and dad did, their grandma and grandpa did, and their grandparents did, or whatever that case may be. So their entire family votes that way. And so they consistently and constantly fall in line to vote for whatever nominee is handed to them because of the fact that they are simply Republican. And so then they take those views and those outlooks and they try to rally as many people as they can when it comes to, voting for their sorry, I'm having a brain fart, voting for their politicians. And essentially what they're doing is they're not saying, oh, hey, vote for my politicians. They're just essentially saying, hey, vote for my race. That's all that they're saying. That's essentially all that they're saying. That's all it is.
Why do you think that? Because it's both political parties that weaponize the Black and brown vote and do nothing for them specifically to actually benefit them. When do you think there'll be an inflection point, right? Because there's always been these conversations around like Black liberation and also, weaponizing the Black vote and making sure that, whoever we give our vote to actually earns it and things like that. When are we gonna actually have the power that we want to have? Or like, is that even something that's possible in this type of system?
I think it is very possible. And again, I'm probably going to sound crazy when I say this, but I think that, and going back to speaking on what you were saying earlier, like how can we mend essentially a divide and how can we start making these, essential policies, these politicians work for their people? I know I'm going to sound crazy. I'm going to sound so crazy. But I hear it a lot on your debates. I hear it a lot on Dean and Parker's debates. These men or these women, they get up here and they say, well, I voted for Trump because I'm a Christian. We have to remove these aspects of religion from our policies. I think in my eyes, and I've seen it, a lot of Republicans and even a lot of Democrats operate on the basis of being Christian and how America is God's country, while, they're not acting like God's people. And so both parties, but in my eyes, more recently, the Republicans, they so tend to use that religious creed to vote for candidates to enact policies that align with their so-and-so Christian values. And as we know, those aren't actual values rooted in helping the poor, taking care of the sick, feeding the hungry, but instead, making them richer and imposing their own views that are essentially rooted in racism and sexism into laws under the guise of Christianity. So what we have to do is we have to remove those aspects, and we just have to fully think about these laws as how it would actually impact people, and think about them in moral codes such as empathy, and is this going to be great for society overall? Is this going to help out the minority or the majority? Like, who is this actually going to benefit? If it's only going to benefit a certain 1%, then we can't enact people that allow those, we can't enact people in office that allow for this to continue to go on. Because like I said, these are not actual quote unquote Christian values, where you have people who are cheering on that people are not getting their SNAP benefits, or who are not, going to be able to eat because of these benefits, because of who we have in office right now, because they can agree on whether or not they want to make life essentially more hard on these people who depend on these subsidies to make it to where they're not paying $1,000 a month in premiums for their health insurance. So it all comes down to, we have to stop allowing and stop overall as a society weaponizing our religion. I do believe there was one stream that I was watching of you, Santana, and you were straight spitting. You were on fire. You said a lot of Republicans, or a lot of people who use Christianity, they use the Bible as a sword rather than a shield to protect. And man, I was in my room shouting and hollering. I said, man, he's preaching. I was all in the comment section like, Santana's preaching, man. But that's just essentially what it comes down to is, that is just what it comes down to. We won't have anything that works for everybody until we get rid of trying to enact laws and things that are essentially helping people enact views that are inherently rooted in racism and sexism.
Yep. I agree. And I think one of the biggest things is, for as much as people talk about we have to get money out of politics, and I completely agree. We have to get money out of politics. We got to get religion out of politics as well. Right? Like money out of politics and religion out of politics, because those two things are key drivers that has continued to keep us away from actual progression within our country. Mm-hmm. And as long as those two things continue to be prevalent within like our political system, there's no way that we're going to have any type of traction going anywhere. So I couldn't agree more. But Diamond, thank you so much for coming up and hanging out with us tonight. I really appreciate what you brought to the panel.
Thank you so much for having me. This was so fun and so incredible. I've always wanted to get up here and just speak with you, Santana.
I'm so glad man, that you did. You brought it too. You really brought it. So thank you.
Thank you so much. Y'all have a great night. I'll continue watching the stream. Absolutely. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Guys, also W's in the chat for AOC 2028 for the $1.99 YouTube super chat. I'm sorry I didn't read this out earlier. MAGA avoids accountability. Yes, this was sent back when Jeff was on the panel, and Jeff couldn't even engage in a critical thought So yeah, there's that. W's in the chat for that super chat. Guys, we only have $68 left to close out our nightly donation goal. I know we can do it. If 68 people send $1 to the pay links, we can close it out. Cash App, PayPal, Venmo, all the pay links and link tree in bio. Santana Speaks for You, best way to support the live. Everything that's said, anything's appreciated. If you're over on the YouTube, you can send a super chat and I will read that out. Melissa, coming to you. Melissa, wrapping it back around. Because I say this all the time. We live in a society. And no matter how much we want to say that we're not going to deal with Trump supporters, we're not going to engage with MAGA, we're not going to talk to MAGA, we're going to distance ourselves from MAGA, we're not going to interact with MAGA. We can say that all the time. We're not going to platform MAGA. We're not going to talk to them anymore. We say all that. But then we walk outside and they're the people, working at the grocery store. They're the people driving beside us on the highway. They're the people that are actually, building our country with us. So for as much as we want to say, like, we're going to separate ourselves from MAGA and we're going to separate ourselves from who they are, it's not that simple because we live in a society. And I try to get that across to them all the time. Like, we need each other. So with that being said, how do we continue to live in this society when it seems like not only are the two sides so divided, but it seems like there's no bringing those two sides together?
I mean, so I'm a pediatric speech therapist, and a lot of the parents of the kids that I see are MAGA. And they'll make comments from time to time. Most of the time, I just try to ignore them. If it's something really egregious, then I try to I try to model the way that I would rather something be dealt with or said, I guess. But I don't know that we are going to be able to really get along anytime soon. The best I can do is just follow the golden rule, I guess, for now. One thing that I had seen a little while ago, there's a small movement for deliberative democracy, where you pull from the juror pool to decide on different things, mostly economic things for your city, your state, sometimes federal level. And you have experts come in, you have a moderator, and so you have both sides in there, and then the jury deliberates, and that goes into you give your decision to whoever's making the final decision. I think if we could actually do that, starting on a small level, that would be something that could get us to start seeing eye to eye in politics.
Yeah, I do think that there is definitely a need to find a way to actually bridge the gaps when it comes bridge the gap when it comes to politics. I think that like ranked choice voting is the way, right?
That's
Like the way that
yeah.
they're doing it in New York, right? It allows true representation to be heard. But I that still goes back to the premise that I have as well, though. It's like until there's money out of politics, like politicians aren't going to embrace ranked choice voting because it's not something that's going to allow them to hold on to power. And if they can't hold on to power, then they can't hold on to their money. So that's a
Exactly.
whole thing. But Melissa, I guess the last question I have for you before I let you go is the actual the louder voices are getting louder, or I'm sorry, the loud voices are getting louder. And what I mean by that is there are more people who are willing to be the worst versions of themselves on a daily basis. There are more people who are willing to lean into every aspect of ism and phobia that they can actually perpetuate. How do we combat those people? What do we do to not only drown those people out as far as the hatred that they're spewing, but to directly push back on it and protect the people that they're trying to harm?
Um, I think kind of standing in the middle and just showing the people that they're trying to harm that we have their back.
Mm.
Maybe even in an attention getting way, like one example is the Foo Fighters. They find out where Westboro Baptist is going to be, and they drive along the road playing music full blast
Mm-hmm.
wherever they're going to be.
Mm-hmm.
But even if it's just being there, or just speaking up, using a not loud tone of voice, just using a supportive tone of voice.
I don't know. I'm gonna push back on you, Melissa.
Okay.
I'm gonna push back on you. I was with you for a second until you said that. I think we need to call out stupidity and racism and transphobia and ableism. I think we need to call out all the things, and we need to be loud about calling it out. We need to be
Okay.
we not only do we need to be loud about calling it out, but we need to be unapologetic about calling it out. I made a video and I posted on my main page about I can't even remember the person's name on the right, and the one that engaged in blackface on Halloween. And I specifically said, I'm tired of stupid racism, stupid, lazy, racist that do things for clout. And I'm not gonna pretend as if they're not stupid, because they are. Because if you're someone that's racist and you work a normal job, then you're stupid, because racism harms everyone. Racism absolutely harms everyone except the people at the top that use racism as a tool. That's why racism and capitalism are intimately intertwined. And so, like, I think it's important to say the things directly and to you. I agree with you. We need to protect the people that they're trying to harm, but we cannot let them slide. And I think that's a thing that we have done for so long. I love Michelle Obama. But I think the myth that she perpetuated of when they go low, we go high was one of the most harmful things that we adopted.
Yeah, that didn't work. And I understand what you're saying. I was going more in a general route, but I agree with you. When there's an actual act that happens, yeah, you do have to call it out.
Yeah. Anyway, Melissa, I appreciate you coming up and hanging out with us tonight. You are absolutely awesome. Thank you for everything that you added to the panel.
Thank you. I really appreciate you having me, Santana.
Absolutely. Have a wonderful evening.
All right, you too.
Ari, are you still there? Ari, you still there? Ari going once? Ari going twice? Ari, I'm going to drop you down. W's in the chat for Sarah. Sarah sent a $25 donation towards the nightly donation goal, saying, thanks for doing this. Very talented. Thank you so much for that $25 donation. I really appreciate it. Sincerely. And if this is your first time actually catching late nights, first and foremost, welcome, right? Late nights are Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Supposed to be 11 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Pacific for 3 hours. I had a bit of a late start tonight. I had a bit of a tough day overall, but I'll be back on track tomorrow. So if this is your first time catching late nights, welcome. This is not a debate. So I'm glad that you're enjoying it. W's in the chat for Michelle. Michelle sent a $10 donation saying, here's a little something to help. Michelle, thank you so much for that $10 donation. You are freaking so kind. W's in the chat for Megan. Megan sent a $5 donation. Did you get the flowers? Yes, I did. I got them this time. W's in the chat. And also, let me add this here. W's in the chat for Mad. Mad sent a $10 donation saying, over the last several decades, billions have been spent on turning conservatives against the other and tearing down our education system. Whatever mechanism we use to fight this division is going to have to take a lot of money. I kind of really agree with that. Yeah, I didn't even think about that. I kind of really agree with that. That's actually a really good statement. W's in the chat for Matt. Thank you, Matt Scramble. Thank you so much for that $10 donation. Guys, that means that we are now only $18 away from closing out our nightly goal. We can definitely hit that. $18 from closing out the nightly goal. Cash App, PayPal, Venmo, pay links, and link tree in the bio. Santana speaks for you. Best way to support the live. Everything except anything's appreciated. If you're over on the YouTube, just like Paisley sent a $13.99 Canadian donation saying, my daughter got a new job today. Tell your daughter I said congratulations. Tell your daughter I said, let me hold $1. Let me hold $1. I'm gonna tell you something. I'm gonna tell everybody something real quick. Every time I hear somebody get a job, I have to fight the black urge to say, let me hold something. Let me hold $1. Chat, let me hold $1. W's in the chat for you, though. Thank you so much for that donation and congratulations to your daughter. W's in the chat as well for Megan. Megan, thank you so much for the $15 donation towards the nightly goal, saying L bad day, W whiskey. Maybe. You know what? I am not against a good time. So maybe some whiskey. I'm not against it. Thank you so much for that $15 donation. All right, Brendan, I want to come back to you. Because I think we said a lot here. But the thing that I think that we have not touched on enough, and the thing that I think that a lot of people aren't really engaging with is the fact that our political system sucks. And for anyone to think that, like, oh, the right has it figured out, or the left has it, the right has it figured out because they've won, or the left have it figured out because they care about people. I think that's a fallacy. I think that there needs to be fundamental change with our entire political system, but I don't think we can have that fundamental change without addressing the fundamental change that we need as a society. So, as the only question I have for you is, how do we fix each other? Because we're broken.
That wow, that's huh. I think one of the big problems with politics in general is there's too many career politicians. I mean, we've mentioned it a few times tonight that they make money from this, right? So I mean, they have so much invested in this to the point where their main goal is to just stay in office. So I think in part we need to have more change, and specifically we need to have our politicians be changed more often, if that makes any sense.
It does. It does. I think term limits are absolutely like mandatory. Like term limits, I think age limits. I think that's important. The reason why I gave you the question is because you gave me such a great answer, and I'm like sticking to where you took me earlier with the critical thinking piece. But like, we have an empathy problem in our country as well. And I think that we have an empathy problem because people are selfish, and I think people are selfish because a capitalistic society puts us against each other for resources when resources are plentiful, but we're told that resources are scarce because one, the people at the top hoard resources, but two, that's how you continue this capitalistic society and actually continue to have such a plethora of a working class is by saying, hey, you gotta get out there, rise and grind. You gotta go get it. If you don't, the early bird gets the worm. And so that makes us even more selfish where we don't care about the person beside us. Like, there has to be something that we can do to address empathy, right?
Maybe it's just me, but it feels like more and more people are forgetting that the people on the right and the left are people. And I think it becomes this situation of politics becomes like this, it's like sports, right? You have people who are like attached to one team versus another. It's viewed as my side wins, when to your point, it really is, like a top 1% versus, like the average Americans. And until we can really solve that issue to where we can all say that we're all in this together. I mean, we may not like a lot of what the right does. They may not like a lot of what we view and what we hold as our views. I'm not sure that we'll be able to solve this issue. We definitely need more empathy, but there's too many people who just view each side as just something that is bad, something to be fought against. I don't know. I mean, that's such a deep question, and it there's so much nuance in that,
It is.
And too many people view it as a black and white issue, I think.
Yeah. Well, Brendan, I know you didn't get to come up for long, and I know you've been here before, and I've seen you in the request. If you, we're gonna be dealing with this topic for the next 2 nights. If you want to come back, and as soon as I see you, I'll make sure I prioritize you and get you back up here, because I want to give you an opportunity to really dig more into this if you want to.
I appreciate that. And I also just want to say I've been watching you and Dean and Parker, and I have learned a lot from watching you. Thank you so much for having me up, man. It's been a pleasure.
Likewise, thank you.
Have a good one.
You as well. W's in the chat for Brenda. Brenda sent a $3 donation to close out the nightly donation goal, saying too much red versus blue team game mentality instead of the truth. The elites, predatory class versus everyone else. Yes. That. Freaking that. Absolutely. Couldn't have said it better. 10 out of 10, no notes. W's in the chat for Brenda. Thank you for the $3, and thank you for the absolute dime. W's in the chat for X for the $10 super chat to say, yeah. Thank you so much for that $10 super chat. You're amazing. How do you say your username again for me?
Tess.
Tess.
Like test. Test with no T.
Tess. Got it. Tess. Got
You're
it.
good.
Tess, you're an interesting person to me. I hate to say it like that. You're fascinating to me because of the duality, right? The ability to vote for humanity, but then the ability to vote for like the economy in your pockets, right? And which, like, I say you're interesting because I think that's how it should be, right?
Yeah.
I think there should be an understanding of, yes, in some aspects of voting, you have to take a selfish point of view, but it can't be the entire aspect. And then in certain aspects of voting, you have to take a progressive stance, but you can't just completely forget about yourself. And that's such a hard combination to get to. And even more so, I think it's a hard combination to get to because you get into certain, like, it doesn't sound like you could actually do that in Texas, right? Because Texas is a state that, exactly, they lean all the way right. So it's not like you're in one of these quote unquote purple states where there's an opportunity. So that's super interesting.
It's even worse because I'm in a small town. It's small town. Rural is where you find the very alt-right. The weird thing is, I will say, just, Facebook, you have these community chats, community groups. I'm seeing so much more come out that's left. And I think that's why this is the very first time I've ever joined a live or anything like that, having watched years of y'all's debates, you, Parker Dean. This is the very first time I've actually come out live on doing this. And it's because I'm getting a little more courage. I've been scared. I've been threatened before by people in my own town. And now I've kind of started working up the courage because I see there's people fed up.
Yeah.
So it's a little more easier.
Yeah. I think that I do think that a lot of people are fed up, right? And I think a lot of people are fed up for a lot of different reasons, but I think that the collective is more fed up with the minority. But then, like, the minority are the loudest ones. The minority seems to be the ones that have the power right now. The minority are the ones that actually continue to perpetuate harm. But I think that we all have a role to play in not only giving the minority that power, but to allow them to continue to wield that power. I think that's a lot to be said behind that, and we're gonna have to deal with that. But I desperately need you to come back because I think you're closer to the point of where I think we should be than like there's so much to it. There's so much to it, but I would really love if you come back and we can talk about it more.
Yeah, sure. I'll be on. I'm watching y'all's streams all the time. My husband's like, "You ever gonna watch anything with us?" So I go in the room and watch.
I
Watch
fall
y'all's
into the
debates.
same habit when
I
I'm
know,
not
right?
like on a live and I'm not live. I end up watching people like I
Yeah.
go to sleep listening to lives.
Yeah. So, but can I say one thing about,
Sure.
Brendan had a great point, and I want to say, if there is any politician, I don't care who it is, who comes out and says my top 3 things that I will make sure I go for it, and I don't care if it's state, federal, local, I don't care. If there's a politician who comes out and says, these are my main agendas, I'm going to put forth a bill that says term limits on any elected position, age restriction on any elected position, and restrictions on lobbying / corporate donations. That person is getting voted in by me. I will make sure of it. So, I mean, that I had every one of the questions you asked. I was like, I know the answer. I want to answer that. But yeah, no, that was a good one you had with
Yeah.
Brandon.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I appreciate it, and even more so, I think that there's a lot that we have to dig into, and there's a lot that we need to fix, and there's a lot that we're going to address. And I agree with you. People are fed up, and I know I am, and I don't know. We got to figure it out together.
Yeah.
So
And I'll change my picture next time so I have an actual picture. It's just the fear of anybody in town knowing who I am. That's been a little nerve
yeah,
wracking.
no, absolutely, no. You're fine. You're fine. Thank you
Maybe an
so much for
emoji.
coming up. I appreciate you.
Thanks for having me. It's great talking to you.
Likewise. Thank you. All right, guys. All right, guys. I know that there's still people in the box, but unfortunately, we've come to that time. We've come to that time of night. I started a little bit late, so I stayed in a little bit late. But it was a really good night. It was a really good start to night 1. You don't have to thank me. I mean, I'm not doing anything. We're just having a conversation. Would you guys like to know something really quick? Seriously? Like really quickly. Like when I come up with these topics, it's funny. Every weekend, my wife is like, "So, what are you going to talk about on late nights this week?" I'm like, I don't know. And it's always something that happens. And I'm like, we need to talk about this. We need to talk about that. We need to talk about this. And we haven't gotten to where I want to go. Night 1 is always a little bit slow, and I try to slow walk it. Just FYI, for all the people that's in the request, 1, come back tomorrow because I want you back, and I promise you I'm going to do better with cycling people in and out. But 2, tomorrow night's going to be wild because I really want to get into tomorrow night. I want to talk about all of the harm. I want to talk about the actual racist. I want to talk about white nationalists. I want to talk about politicians and their ill gains. I want to talk about who's at fault. And which, spoiler alert, all of them are at fault. There's blood on all of their hands. And for anyone to pretend that they have a politician that is just like, oh, this is my politician is perfect. No. There's blood on all of their hands, and we're going to talk about it. We're really going to get into it tomorrow night. So just an FYI, I'm leaning into all of it because I want to talk about black fatigue. I want to talk about white fatigue. I want to talk about why white content creators, influencers, whatever they call themselves on the right, think that they can do blackface. And hell, I want to talk about why they can do it and they get away with it. Because the reason why they do it now is because they know they can get away with it. You say they can't do, no, they literally can do blackface. The reason why they were so confident in doing blackface is because they know they could do blackface now. And so we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about all of it. Joe, I don't care about what you have to say in the chat, really. I don't have a conversation with people in the chat. You're completely irrelevant to me. So there's that. Anyway, tomorrow, 11 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Pacific. I promise to be on time tomorrow. Today was just like a really challenging day, personally. And so it was not even going to hold you. I started not to even go live. I'm going to be honest with you. I started not to even go live. Today was a little bit rough. But I'm glad that I did, especially because I really enjoy this topic. Like, so there's that. So, we'll be back tomorrow. We'll be back tomorrow. And not only will we be back tomorrow, I will be on time. And we'll get into this for sure. Everything's okay. It's okay. It's just, you know, the world is crazy. So, I heard someone say, real quick, guys, look up at the top. If you see the word follow, make sure you hit that follow button. This is the main account. Hit that follow button. Hit the follow button. And then also follow the backup account, especially for like debates as well. Make sure you follow the backup account. Follow both of them. Follow both of them. Let's see here. Heard someone say Joey is live. Yeah, Joey is live. Let's go raid Joey once we get out of here. We'll go say hi to Joey. We'll go raid Joey for sure. Let me grab this. We'll go say hi to Joey and show Joey some love. Because we love Joey. All right. For the people that actually were in the request and you guys didn't get to come up tonight, come back tomorrow. I promise you I'll get you in. I pinky promise. I'll get you in.
Yeah, this ain't your regular panel. Nah, we speak the truth. Late nights with Santana and Mama Jones watching. Better keep it clean. Let's go. Late nights, truth in the convo. Everybody get a seat at the table. From the block to the books, we mindful. No screaming, just dreams in the Bible. One mic, one voice, we build bridges from the heart of the hood to the world's big issues. Politics, pay, different cultures. But the real ones listen before they rebuttal. Late nights with Santana. Yeah, Mama Jones watching, so keep it growing. Ain't about flexing, this is purpose zone.
Guys, thank you. Honestly, that's all I really have tonight is thank you. I really, really, really mean it. I appreciate each and every one of you. That's all I got. You guys are awesome. Sometimes doing this is hard, and you guys are so awesome. You make it easier. So there's that. All right. We're going to get out of here. We're going to get out of here. We're going to get out of here. We're going to go show Joey some love. Let me put this in the chat one more time. Boom. And I'm going to pin his username. We're going to pin his username. There we go. Let's go raid Joey. Joey doesn't have YouTube yet. I fussed at him and he hasn't gotten his YouTube yet. We're going to fuss at him until he gets his YouTube. But go show Joey some love. Santana raid. Go show Joey some love, guys. Thank you all for being here. Thank you all for being amazing. I love you guys so much. I truly mean that. I have the best community on TikTok. You guys are freaking awesome. Thank you for all the gifts, the likes, the taps, the shares. Thank you for being here. Thank you for engaging. I love you all. I'll see you all tomorrow. And as always,